Howdy, folks. My name is Brian. That is Shane, and you are watching a special edition of, I guess, Raw Rant or Unleashed or whatever you want to call it.
It's Raw Rant today. Every Monday is Raw Rant, no matter how you look at it.
All right.
And I'm trying to figure out, does the camera pop up for me later? Because you start talking before we're on screen.
Yeah, I do that on purpose.
You do that on purpose. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, there's an editing trick where you supersede the audio by a half a second so that people feel comfortable when they finally see that person talking. They are aware of their environment.
So we don't shock anybody because people might be in their safe houses, right?
Right.
Might be in their safe spaces. So when they actually see your face and my face, they're not terrified because we look like trolls.
Right. Yeah, it's an editing trick, and I think it works. I'm just trying to emulate that here.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never heard it before, but that's cool. Now, music. When DJs used to do this for radio shows, they actually did what's called walking the ramp. So when a song would come to its natural end, they would start talking, and as another song, you know how songs used to at least have endings and intros where they would actually pot the song down and pot it up, and they would only talk as the song was coming down and coming up. So it felt kind of like you were doing that here. So.
Oh yeah, maybe it's the same thing. I don't know. I'm gonna call it walking the ramp with editing. I'm not actually a classically trained editor. I didn't go to school. I just learned over a period of the last 30 years, and that's what I see other people doing. So I just do the same thing.
Mozart or Beethoven.
No, I studied Terry Metalis. That's what I do.
Welcome to Raw Rant, guys. And ordinarily, you'd see us in a panel show today, and we would be talking about the latest and greatest. Last week, we talked about how this week we're going to be doing Tom Constantino and the Orville. He's the producer for the Orville. We're going to be talking maybe some season 4, but unfortunately, he's unable to join us this week, and we've had to reschedule. But that's okay, because we've been wanting to do a non-spoiler review of Strange New Worlds anyways. We got the first 6 episodes of Strange. What the hell are you doing?
I'm trying to adjust my camera so that I match you.
Your eyeballs look like you're going insane.
Gigantic because your camera's so like low. I'm like
you were like this as you were changing. You're like this. You're like,
no, this is the way I look. Like you're talking. I'm like this.
Dude, you look like you're on uppers.
I am on uppers.
Never mind. Don't answer that question.
Just a ridiculous amount of cocaine. I mean.
Okay, never mind. It's not the 80s. It's not Coke anymore. What is it now? Like?
I don't know.
What is it like?
What is it now?
What do the kids take now?
I think they take Panera Bread Chargers.
All right. Not most people don't know what that is.
Yeah, I'll tell you what it is. It's a drink. It's a lemonade that you can get at Panera Bread that has the maximum daily recommended dosage of caffeine in one 16-ounce drink.
All right.
And people drink like 4 of them a day.
No, not people. You drink 4 of them.
Yeah, I'll correct that. I drink like 6 of them a day. I actually have it's actually funny. I'll show you this.
I didn't mean to go down this road, guys.
I have 3 of these now in my little mini fridge.
What the hell is that?
3 of them, and I fill them up with all the flavors of the Chargers, like a gallon each one.
Dude, you're addicted. This is ridiculous.
And then I just put my cup in the mini fridge and I just pour them all day, all night long.
So crazy, dude. You're so crazy. Yeah. Anyways, back to Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. We got the screeners. Thank you, CBS, for providing screeners for us so that we could go through the first 6 episodes. Today, we're going to talk about the first 3. And then we're going to come back on Wednesday and we're going to talk about 4, 5, and 6, because as you know, Wednesday at midnight, the first episode of Strange New Worlds comes out. And so we want to give you non-spoilers early in the week. And then, of course, we'll have episode 1 coming out. And then we will do our full review Thursday on Unleashed show for episode 1. And then next Monday, we're going to come back here on Raw Rant, unless something changes. So CBS was supposed to provide us with, hopefully, we've asked, and they said they would, but it's unavailable. We were supposed to get maybe Akiva Goldsman on the show, or one of the producers or somebody. And then also we were going to get a principal cast member on the show on Raw Rant on multiple weeks.
Right.
So far that hasn't happened. I don't know if it has to do with the writer's strike. I don't know if it has to do with the fact that they aren't doing the publicity the same way, it seems like, with things going on right now.
Maybe they watched our show 2 weeks ago and they're like, oh yeah, these guys can't. No.
They could be blowing smoke up my butt, but they have told us, no, we are going to take care of you. You will have, and which I don't know why they would, because, I mean, we've been nothing but honest. And I think they know that we're being genuine about Star Trek in its all phases, but we were so positive with Star Trek Picard season 3. I think they have hope that we're going to continue that. But of course, we're only going to tell you the truth. So with Strange New Worlds coming out, we are going to have 10 weeks. It's going to be a lot of fun. For the next 2.5 months, we're going to be doing Strange New Worlds every week, talking about it and talking about the good, the bad, and everything else in between. I think the first 6 episodes, or at least the first 3 that we're going to talk about today, I think they're very interesting, and we can go by them one individually. But Brian, can you explain? We do have the Popcast Stream Hero up today, since we're doing it in this format. Can you explain what's going on?
Yeah, this is actually pretty unique for Raw Rant, because this is our normally our format for Thursdays. But because Rob's not going to be joining us until Wednesday, we decided to go with the classic twofer. That means we get Stream Hero. And the Stream Hero is the top left. Right now, it's the Podcast Unleashed. That's us. It has 2000 HP. Every super chat knocks that HP down. Whoever finishes the Stream Hero off ends up being the new Stream Hero, and whoever is Stream Hero the longest gets to spin a wheel at the end of the stream and get a free prize. And the prizes we're giving out today is a Star Trek Legacy mug, a Star Trek Legacy shirt, a Stargate clock, a Popcast hat, and a Star Trek Legacy mousepad. A lot of Legacy fun stuff.
That's awesome. And after here's what we're gonna talk about it, and then afterwards we are doing a member stream today, right?
Yeah, I'm just gonna set it up like toward the end.
So we're going to talk non-spoiler stuff, and then we're going to have the member stream, and we're going to be able to talk about some things we can't talk about publicly. So consider joining us after that. On Wednesday, we are going to have Robert Meyer Burnett with us to discuss 4, 5, and 6, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you guys put that on the calendar. I don't know exactly what time we're going to do it, but we are going to do it. And
what? we have one of the member streams up right now. Just a heads up, there is a member stream up right now. And as usual, that is ad free. And here's what we're gonna. So the reason we do the reason we have to start the Unleashed member stream after the fact is because we can't stream 2 channels to the same channel. So at the end of the show, we'll start up the Unleashed member section, and both member sections will be live. But the Prime member section is live right now. And right now, the Sean M, Jack Spencer, and Mexican Iron Man are sitting in there. And Mexican Iron Man says, I look good in my new Popcast hat. Hell yeah. I'm glad you got it, man. Cool. Right, awesome. Which one are you wearing, though? You wearing the Brian's hat? Or Shane's weak-ass hat?
You have everybody convinced to buy yours.
Mine's the best. That's why.
I think you just keep sending it. Whenever everybody orders a hat, you just automatically send yours. I think that's what's happening. Anyway, so... let's just start talking a little bit about it here. So if you guys have questions and things you want to talk about, send it in, and we'll answer your questions as they come in. And we're just going to Brian, let's talk a little bit about season 1 of Strange New Worlds, and let's recap where we were with season 1, and then give me your thoughts, and then before we get to season 2.
Okay, so Mexican Iron Man is wearing Shane's hat. God damn it, Mexican Iron Man.
I'm talking about.
You are letting me down right now, bro.
Good job, Mexican Iron Man.
I am, by the way, I am monitoring the Prime members chat too. So just so you guys know, I'm getting better at this. Okay.
Listen, you can't rule with an iron fist, bro. Okay, just know.
You know what's crazy is Mike has both hats, but he chose to wear your hat.
Tells you something, doesn't it?
It's okay. Yes, Boulevard Jones.
In case you want to know what my hat looks like.
The Popcast Kids table will be up right after the stream, I promise. Okay. I don't know why we're calling it that. That's not what it is.
He called it that. He called it that last week. That's how come we ended up with that.
Yes, we need a producer. Yeah, you're right. You're completely right.
Brian's supposed to be the producer guy.
Yeah, I'm monitoring 3 streams, 5 screens. I mean, there's a lot to produce here, bro. And I'm talking. I'm not done.
Okay, well, let's hire somebody, but for no money. So if you don't care about money and you want to be a producer, give us a help.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Okay, guys. So, there is no spoilers here. However, we can talk more freely than we did on Thursday. And
yeah,
if you were here on Thursday, what we said was
No. Talk about season 1 first.
Oh, season 1. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
No. Go back and kind of recap your season 1.
Okay, let me go.
So that way people know what our baseline is.
So here's the baseline. I enjoyed the majority of season 1. I like Pike. I like Una. I like the majority of the characters. For the most part, I enjoyed the episodic approach that they took. I felt it was definitely more of a Star Trek feel. On the flip side of that, though, everything was very colorful, which isn't bad, but after a few episodes, you could start to notice. And Hemmer, the only character ever represented that comes from Enterprise, one of my favorite shows. The show I've been begging Star Trek to finally borrow some characters and some races from, considering that it predates every Star Trek series canonically. They finally introduced the Anar. And Anar, a blind engineer. And we were so stoked for Hemmer, the blind engineer. We were so happy. We made a video that no one else watched. But apparently we did. We made a video called Meet Hemmer. And we went into detail about it. No one cared. Apparently, we were the only people that liked Hemmer, I guess. I don't know.
Justice for Anars. Justice for Anar.
Justice for Anar. But we loved that character. We wanted to see more of him. We thought it was super unique. Not only was it unique, but there was so much you could have done with that character, right? There was so much you could have shown us over a period of many seasons. But instead, we got brief glimpses of the character at best. A small backstory, a little bit of the character, and then they promptly killed him off in the most ridiculous way possible in the worst episode of the entire season.
Okay.
It was a massive letdown. I gotta say.
We get very upset when Hemmer gets brought
I was
up.
riding high that season.
Yeah.
Up until the non-binary villain. I did not like that villain whatsoever, and nothing to do with her sexuality or his sexuality or whatever their sexuality. I didn't care about that.
They weren't menacing enough.
They weren't menacing.
Yeah,
they weren't believable. They right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's I believe so, yeah.
They wasn't God. The actor wasn't a good actor.
Yeah.
Is it they weren't?
Yeah.
They weren't a good actor. Period. The end. The actor
could say if you mean they to be like singular, you could be like they wasn't, and that'll be funny actually. Like they wasn't good.
Okay, they wasn't. They won't good. Okay.
Yeah.
No, they wasn't. They wasn't good. They were really
right.
bad. And what made it worse is that the subtitles were desperately trying to keep up with their pronouns, and it just confused the crap out of me. So I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. It bothered me. Look, you can hire non-binary people, but I don't understand why you have to confuse the audience. There's a lot of people that watch that don't understand the they/their thing.
Was this? I don't recall. Was the show like saying the character was non-binary specifically?
The show did that. Yeah,
so they were doing the they.
Right, and it was confusing. I'm sitting there with my wife. I'm desperately trying to get my wife into Star Trek. I've been trying for years, and I thought this is my chance.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah, I think here's the thing: it's tough to put in non-binary characters that, the future, in the 22nd, 23rd century, it's hard to say, if those pronouns are going to work the same then. And so it's tough I'm not sure why you would really want to introduce the they them thing into current, into the future universe. It's just very complicated. And
listen, no offense to anyone, but I think by the 23rd, 24th century, we're not going to be worrying about pronouns anymore. I guess. Yeah. I don't think we will be. I mean, straight up, I don't think we will be, especially ones that are meant for like plural. Like that's confusing. Maybe they'll invent a new one that is.
I would have been okay with like the Zay, or I think there was one called like Zay.
Oh yeah, Zem, Zer.
That it would have been better because it's like you got he, she, and then Z. Right. I mean, whatever. That would have like at least. But now when you say they, it's like you're talking about multiple people.
Yes.
And it becomes a plural, which then confuses the rest of
especially
your
like your entire life you've been raised to understand what that means, and all of a sudden you're trying to tell me it doesn't mean that anymore, and it's very difficult. It takes me on the story. But whatever. I don't want to.
But I don't know who makes up those things. Look, I was born and they had the he/she thing. That's all we had.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Whoever makes it up, make up one that's easier.
The actor wasn't very good, in my opinion. They weren't menacing whatsoever. But that episode did give us the Cyborg tease, which I thought was cool. But now I think it was wasted because that episode tracked so poorly that, hopefully they bring the Cyborg character back.
Yeah, they will. Of course, it's they left it on a cliffhanger. So
yeah. So that episode wasn't good, and so it made it worse that episode, the episode, that episode already was not good, and then they went into the worst episode of the season, where they butchered the Gorn, and they literally butchered Hemmer.
I'm glad you're on my side now with this whole Gorn
Well, let me tell you why. I'll tell you why. I wasn't bothered by it until, I guess this is why.
No, you can't say that. You can't say that.
I can't say it.
No.
So you'll see on Thursday why I'm bothered by it.
So you can't even say that. See, that's like this is the whole thing people are talking about with like spoilers. Listen, guys, we're gonna do our best, but there's probably gonna be like weird non-spoiler spoilers, if that makes sense. You're going to be able to infer things from us. It's impossible not to. It's the reason why people make videos. Like when somebody does a non-spoiler review, they're like, oh, well, I think it means this, right? You're going to probably get some of that from us, but we'll do our best to make sure not to have any specifics. But okay, so here's the thing. Let me just tell you a little bit about my season one. So I'm just going to say season one kind of introduced. I'm like, okay, well, it was already in a better place because it was automatically for me, and I'm not saying this for anybody else, it was already for me better than Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, 100%.
So they kind of come screaming in. We've got Pike as Anson Mount. He's the captain. And as we came in, it was already for me a better show than, and I felt more comfortable there. But Star Trek Strange New Worlds is a program that we just need to be honest with ourselves about this. Star Trek Strange New Worlds wants to be fun, young, hip, and mainstream. Bottom line. That's what it wants to be.
Right.
The issue for a lot of us legacy fans or old time fans who've been fans since TOS is that Star Trek has always been different than regular programming. It was an intellectual show with some, a little bit of humor and a little bit of action, but it was always very based in science and intellectual. It operated kind of in its own little universe too. It was always felt like you were in Star Trek when you were watching it.
Yeah.
The thing about today's new Star Trek, including a little bit Strange New Worlds, is that it feels like it's trying to be like Star Trek / MacGyver or Star Trek / Hawaii Five-0. Like it feels, instead of like kind of immersing itself into the techno babble Star Trek that we've been fans of and feeling like you're in that universe, you kind of feel like you're watching contemporary television Star Trek. Does that make sense? And I get why they're doing that, because they want to appeal to as many people as possible. And they also want to, they have people writing the shows who that's their only experience. They're not using classic sci-fi writers. You got to remember, original Star Trek, whether it was TOS, TNG, Voyager, all of those people were science fiction writers for the most part. They loved sci-fi. They wrote it. They ate it. They breathed it. They lived it. And Star Trek had this template. And so these newer shows do feel like they're looking at the older versions of Star Trek. And then in a lot of these episodes of Strange New Worlds that we're going to see this season, they do utilize elements of those series in not a bad way. They utilize things that happened in TOS and kind of explain things. They actually add to the canon in a good way. The difference is, I think, that it's almost like an impression of Star Trek as opposed to a continuation. It's definitely a revisit or a reimagining of Star Trek in a current contemporary way. Would you agree?
Yes. And I don't mind it. I said it last season. I actually like the way the ship looks and all that. Mm-hmm. I don't mind the colors, but if I gotta be honest, it was I thought Pike was gonna become more commanding.
We're just talking about season 1 right now.
Yeah, I'm talking about season 1. Yeah.
Okay, good.
I thought in season 1 that Pike was gonna see that you. Yeah. Okay. Well.
Well, I'm just want to say because you hesitated, so I just want to make sure.
No, I'm trying to find the right words. I thought Pike was gonna be more commanding by the end of the series, but by the end of the season, but he actually got more. He got softer and less commanding. And so even though I liked the season overall, I had a bad taste in my mouth from that really horrible episode with Cyborg, and then I really disliked the fact they killed the only character I was really looking forward to, and they killed him in the stupidest way. Like, he was born in sub-freezing temperatures, and they established that Gorn can't handle cold temperatures, so he got injected with Gorn eggs. Go outside. They even established that the characters that survived the Gorn survived because they went outside. So all he had to do was go outside. He just had to go outside. He could survive the cold. They can't. I honestly believed they set it up for that to happen, but then he just jumped off the end of the ship. It was so stupid. Anyways, so on top of that, and on top of the fact that Pike never really became that commanding presence that I was looking for in my captain. Overall, I liked the season, but I gotta be honest, there was a little bit of disappointment there, like, for sure. I still like Pike. I still have hope for Pike. But this season, I need to see, more commanding, more Pike, more captain.
Less cooking, more commanding.
Less cooking, more commanding. Less, don't stop putting pomade in your hair and get on the bridge of the ship, dude. That's all I'm going to say.
Although his hair is fantastic.
It is pretty damn good.
It is. That's a handsome dude, man. We don't generally judge our guys, but he is a handsome guy.
I judge guys all the time, bro.
No, well, you do because you're different. But most of us guys don't judge other guys.
I'll tell you right now. Shut Up Pod is in the chat right now. And that's a handsome man. Okay? He's a handsome man.
Mark Cartier is a handsome man.
Yeah, Mark is a handsome man. Good for him.
Yeah.
More commanding, less cooking. Less pomade, more captain's chair.
Probably...
You know what I mean? Like, I need a little bit more of that, like, authority, decorum. I need a little more of that because it's severely lacking. And look, I got some a classic guy in the sense where I need that character. I don't mind the funny, feminine character. I don't mind the girly chicks. I don't mind the real buff, con girl kicking everyone's ass. That's fine. But, like, you gotta also have the archetype that is the captain. I need that. I need the captain. And I don't think we got that in season. We didn't get enough for sure in season 1, and I'm hoping we see it in season 2.
Okay, I think it's well said. We had an expectation from Discovery season 2 of how Pike was going to be. In Discovery season 2, Pike was in charge. He was lodge and in charge, and things were happening. And he got his own show, and I think it became such an ensemble cast that he just kind of faded into it. I also think that one of the issues that we had this discussion a little bit last Thursday. One of the other issues is that Strange New Worlds, there's this dichotomy between being like a military organization, and we understand that Star Trek isn't necessarily a military organization in the sense that we understand it, but it is a professional organization with a rank structure and with leadership and rules that you follow.
Yeah.
And it feels to me like one of the things about Strange New Worlds is that they have, they're trying to play off more as a family, which they definitely are, and less of a structure of rank and following. And so I think there does need to be a little more separation between the captain and his crew than there currently is. And that's from season 1. So there's a little bit too much chummy going on there. Hopefully that gets better with season 2, and we're going to talk about that. Just going through the episodes, the one thing that they did love to do in season 1 was they were digging the genre Star Trek stuff.
Right.
So they were trying to they did a fantasy episode. They did a variety of different types of episodes, and you're going to see more of that in season 2, as they've already told us. But so that is something that they want to do. They also, during season 1.
Sorry, I'm going to stop you real quick because you're about to move on. Did you like the fantasy episode?
No, I didn't. I didn't like it. I didn't like it because the characters weren't themselves for almost the whole episode. So you have episodes where, in TOS, where Kirk was being controlled, where they were under the influence of alien control in some way, but they were still themselves. They literally in Strange New Worlds became different people, the characters from a book.
Right.
And while the idea for the story was actually very interesting, it felt a little too weird. Like Pike became the jester, right? And it flipped everything on its ear. And so that's why I go back to the idea is, and there's nothing wrong with this. Let me just tell you, if, when you're watching television, one of the things you want to feel is you want to feel like you're having fun. I think that's important.
Right.
But the thing about Star Trek is, for me anyways, it's more about being thoughtful. It's more about spiking my brain than it is about necessarily spiking, my happiness. I want to feel a range of emotions, but if you focus too much on one emotion, you tend to lose the other ones. So if it gets too funny, if it gets too slapsticky, if it gets too much that, then I'm like, it doesn't feel like Star Trek anymore. So they have to be very careful when they're doing these episodes. And I think that was one of the episodes that just felt a little bit, it was a wonderful ending for Mbanga's daughter. They needed to close off that story. You couldn't keep a kid inside of the transporter, forever.
Right.
So they had to bring that to a conclusion. So I understand why they did. So there were some good episodes and not some good episodes, but the characters, the characters are going through a lot of growth. They did talk about how in season 2, they feel like the characters got better because the writers understood the characters, and also the actors understood the characters better, so that they did get better. And from what we can tell you, I think there is something of that being said. There definitely seems to be a little bit of growth going into season 2, but so my impression of season 1 is that it was just okay. I guess that's the best way to put it. It wasn't incredible Star Trek for me. It was better Star Trek than anything else that had come out. But then you give me some Picard season 3, and I get the TNG crew back in the way and the shape and the form that I feel like it should be back, or that I would like to see Star Trek. And then that resonates as the Star Trek that I enjoy the most. So they can definitely improve, and I think we'll talk about that here in a second.
Yeah, about the fantasy episode, my biggest problem was, I'm right there with you. Like, the archetypes flipped on their head, and like, if it would have been fine if at some point we got the correct archetypes back. But also, I felt like the science behind it, the explanation, felt a little cheap. Like, there's
magical. It was magical.
Yeah, well, there's a entity in the nebula, and like, okay, well, like, that doesn't even explain everything, because they can still use parts of the ship at some point, and someone's going to notice they're on a ship. It was just very odd to me.
Yeah, it was.
They should have done Q or something. Like,
well, there needs to be more science, definitely. Like they really need to double down on the science. And let's go through a couple super chats real quick before we get into it.
Okay,
you got them? You want me to do them?
Oh yeah, I got them. Yeah. Rebecca Spade. Thank you, Rebecca Spade. Rebecca asked, "What about Uhura? I can never say that word. Did you like her? Does she get better?"
Well, what I'll say is in season 1, I didn't really like her. I didn't really like the character. I like Celia Gooding as an actress. But Uhura came in. It felt like there was a lot of the story was centered around her, and it felt like nobody could accomplish anything without Uhura. Like, every episode was like, even something with Hemmer. It was something with every La'an. There was always something that she came in as this cadet, and I felt like she was like an overpowered cadet.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And she did everything. She sang the song. She did, so they came in hot with Uhura, and I understand why, because she's a TOS character that they brought back, and it had to be done well. So It's not that I didn't like her. And she kind of mellowed out as the season went on, so it got a little bit better. Now coming into season 2, I feel pretty comfortable with her. And in at least in the first 3 episodes, she's not an overbearing character, and so I think she's a nice spice right now.
Yeah, you're completely right. First, coming in as a cadet and like handling everything the way she did, like it feels like they fast tracked her growth because she was an original character.
That's what it felt like,
and that just feels cheap, to be honest.
Yeah. But okay. I think she's hitting her stride, and she might be hitting her stride this season, though.
Maybe. All right, next super chat from Michael Nemo. Strange New World. Thank you, Michael. Strange New World has to be an alternate timeline. If not, why does the Enterprise D look exactly like it did from 36 years ago, but the Enterprise from TOS is completely different? It's an unsufferable show for me. That's a good point, actually.
So if not, why does the Enterprise D look exactly like a different? Well, okay. Well, I'll tell you the reason why is because different producers, different showrunners. Yeah. So Terry Matalas
that's the practical reason why.
Yeah, Terry Matalas wanted to recreate, Picard season 3 to be a continuation of TNG, and in order to do a continuation of TNG, it needs to look like it did to some degree. In that way. But when they wanted to reimagine, and it's a shame because if you go back to TOS, it would be very difficult today to give you the same 60s feel that you get on a ship and yet still have like a contemporary modern feel for the ship. In Strange New Worlds, I think they try to do that. You got the angular features on the bridge. There is that sense that it's a TOS era ship. But the problem is the ships are just too big. There's too much space on these things. The hallways are just ginormous. The passageways, I guess, not hallways. And so there are elements of it that does seem way off. Everything is way too damn shiny, in my opinion. But
very colorful.
But they're trying to get the attention of younger people. That's exactly what it is. They're trying to. That's why. What did I say earlier? It's like a young, fun, hip mainstream show is what it wants to be. It wants to be talked about on the same vein as all of your big shows are that everyone watches. Star Trek's never been that. You go back and look at Star Trek, it was always a pocket audience.
Right.
It was always that, and that's not what they want. They want this to play on the same level as, Yellowstone. Right? They want Star Trek to be in that way. Unfortunately, there's just a smaller portion of people who like science fiction. So it's never going to be mainstream like they want it to be.
So that's the practical answer, Michael. Let me give you the in-universe answer. This is my opinion. I believe you're right. I believe 100% Strange New World is an alternate timeline, just like Discovery is an alternate timeline. If you look at our video, The Secret Reboot, okay, it explains all this. Ready? I'm serious. When movie First Contact happened and Picard and his crew went back in time to stop the Borg, they left some Borg by accident in the Arctic, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, in Enterprise, and from then until Enterprise, everything proceeded the same way, and then they discovered the Borg in the Arctic. That completely changed the timeline. I'm telling you right now.
Okay, yeah. I mean, there's a whole video on it, and it is fun.
Let me just finish real quick. When they got it though, they got tech ahead of time they shouldn't have had. They knew there was a threat that they didn't know about ahead of time, right? And then what did you get next? Discovery. All of a sudden, the ships are bigger, more.
Well, not anymore. Now it's not Discovery. Now it's Strange New Worlds. So
well, I know, but Strange New Worlds came from Discovery. And how about this? Look at the uniforms from Discovery. The very first uniform you see looks a whole lot like an updated version of the Enterprise uniform.
Well, and technically Enterprise would be part of the new universe.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But starting at season 4. When they discovered the Borg. Yeah. Up until that moment, they were part of the original universe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, ready? That's why Archer is referenced in every series with the original ship in every series. Because his timeline, he shares timelines with both our timeline proper and the new secret rebooted timeline.
Well, there you guys go. If you want to hear all about the secret reboot, which is we did actually did a couple of videos about that.
It 100% happened. It's a fact. It's a fact. I know it's not. I know it hasn't been. No, I'll tell you what. It's the only explanation canonically that makes any sense.
Right, but the people who are in charge will tell you that it's absolutely not true. So I mean, take it how you want to take it. So if it would make sense and you can believe it that way, or all this is canon and we just have to kind of deal with it. So if you want to live in a fantasy world, you can believe that, which is fun to do.
It's canonical.
It's not canonical if they say it's not canonical.
Are you telling me that nothing changed when they found those Borg in the Arctic?
We don't know. Nothing was ever created that told us that it changed.
Bro,
you know what I'm saying? They never told a story about it.
If Barry Allen can delete entire people and races from a universe by changing where a can of soup is placed on a shelf.
We do not get to apply Flash.
I'm just saying, if
logistics to Star Trek.
If that tiny ripple can cause that massive of a difference in the universe, you're telling me that finding advanced technology on Earth to 100 years ahead of time isn't going to change anything? Of course it is.
No, I believe it absolutely would, or it should. But the problem is that the story's never been told. So, I mean, you're right. I mean, would it be cool if they did that? The reality is they don't want to erase their existence.
I just spoiled the Flash. I'm so sorry.
Why did you spoil the Flash? What are you talking about?
I didn't realize that
You haven't seen that movie yet?
I saw the movie last night. I completely forgot that.
How did you see the movie last night?
I have a ways.
All right. Well, you didn't tell me about it. All right. Anyway, so we're off topic.
We haven't had a chance to talk. I've been working my butt off, bro.
All right. Well, I guess that's why you were distracted last night. All right. So Saturday night. Well, anyway, so let's get back on track to what we're talking about here. So based on what Michael was saying, so it is difficult because it is different. It is different. And I don't know. I mean, you'd have to go back to DS9 and maybe the way that they did the Enterprise, and maybe look at that style when they actually went to Kirk's Enterprise and did that episode. But it's, time has improved. It's going to be different whether you like it or not. And that's the way we're looking at Strange New Worlds. I don't know how else to describe it. I mean, it is what it is. And you got to look at the story. So when you don't get the visuals the way you think that they should be, now you have to look at how are the stories written, how are the characters done, and you have to judge it based on that. Because frankly speaking, you're never, just like people were upset on Picard season 3 that everything was too dark, that the bridges were too, futuristic looking. It's a progression in the way TV shows are made, and that's never going to change.
Well, but that makes sense because it's going forward. So it doesn't share the same problem that Discovery and Strange New Worlds shares, in the fact that they're behind us.
How do you do a behind us? That makes sense. Enterprise just happened to be at the tail end of everything that was created. It was still in that genre time.
I mean, Strange New Worlds actually does a pretty good job. I would say Strange New Worlds does a much better job than Discovery. Discovery is what just blew everything out of the water.
Right.
Strange New Worlds is trying to update it,
Yeah, I just don't know how you do a prequel all these years later and make it look exactly the same as it did before. It's just not a possibility.
Right. I mean, yeah, because you can't go back to like I know when Deep Space Nine time traveled or whatever and into TOS era.
Yeah,
that was cool. That was a one-off episode though, right? It was supposed to be clever. Like if you're gonna make an entire series, like you can't do that and expect a good audience. Like you're gonna have problems. You're not gonna pick up new members, that's for sure. And even hardcore, like let's say people that didn't watch TOS but love Voyager and TNG are gonna be like, "Yo, what's going on with this cheesy shit?"
With the cheesy bridge.
I mean, there's 65 years plus.
I love it.
Yeah, but there's a lot of there's 5 generations or 3 generations now of Trek fans. Well, there's at least 2 of those generations aren't looking at TOS like as the leader. So like you got to update it. I get that, but Discovery went too far. Like Discovery should have been more like Enterprise. I got to tell you, Enterprise did a great job. They went backwards and they gave us a ship that made sense. No one's complaining about Enterprise.
They did, but it was also made at the tail end of all of that when the style looked that way. So it was made in a sense that to make it a prequel. It was definitely, a lot of the finish was taken off of the bridge. And you had a lot of the same ship creators they were still with the program. They were still with Star Trek at that time. So they knew what they were building. We did the whole Enterprise. You want to go see the history of Enterprise, you can go see that, where we talk about, Dave Drexler and his work on that ship. And he actually went out to see Navy vessels to get an idea of how to create the NX-01 that would make sense in a prequel. They put the time in, you know what I mean? So how do they update that with today's current visuals and also make it seem like it's a prequel in that time? Very difficult to do. All I'm going to say. Could it be better? Absolutely. But honestly, the visuals are not the most important thing to me. The most important thing to me is the story and the characters. And without further ado, we should probably go into a little bit of season 2 stuff.
One more super chat. Dr. Sarah Gardner, $15. Thank you, Dr. Sarah. Or Dr. Gardner, whatever. Sarah. Thank you, Sarah.
She wants to be called Doctor. Doctor's in the name.
All right. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Your Honor. Maybe we call her Your Honor.
I apologize, Your Majesty. I don't know.
Thank you. Better, Your Majesty.
What is it's just Doctor, right? There's no other.
It's Doctor. Yeah.
Judge. Okay. Doctor says, but Pike is so hot, though.
Well, that's part of the problem. Yeah. So
he is a good guy. We have a video coming out today, and Shane calls him. No, never mind. But Shane used the term "space daddy" in reference to Todd Stashwick, and right when you said that, I thought about Pike too.
Of course, it's Pike and Shaw. They're in the same box.
Also from the Joe Cronin Show, the Joe Cronin Show. You can use that, bro. The Joe Cronin Show. What if in season 7 of Strange New Worlds, the new Enterprise refit happens, and it's the classic TOS similar to Picard Enterprise D ending? Oh,
Joe, we're in season 2, bro. You're talking 7 already. I mean, it could happen. This is the new flagship show. We haven't talked about that.
It is. Yeah, it is. That's I don't know how I feel about that.
What do you mean?
I feel weird about that, I think.
Well, I mean, it's better than Discovery flagship show.
Yeah, that's
Discovery
true.
Was the flagship.
That's true.
Strange New Worlds. I mean, look what's out there. We did Star Trek Picard season 3. We all loved it, but it's not there right now. We don't have a legacy. We don't have Star Trek Legacy yet. Okay, hold on to that one. So all we have is Strange New Worlds. What else could be their flagship?
That's true.
That's all we have.
You got a good point, man.
So so just to answer his question, what if in season 7 of Strange New Worlds, the new Enterprise refit happens, and it's at the classic TOS similar to Picard? And so who would be on that crew is what I want to know. Do we got Kirk, right? Because we're going to be talking about Kirk for season 2, right?
Yeah.
What do you think, Brian? Do we want, how soon should we usher in the permanency of Captain Kirk?
I can't. What episode?
Should they go full Kirk, like season 3, season 4? Should we be getting more pieces of the TOS crew coming in? I mean, if they're going to go 7 seasons, right, which would get us pretty much to the Kirk era, right?
We definitely need. I mean, my impressions of Kirk are actually pretty good, and if they continue with that, with that
so you'd like
momentum,
to see him sooner.
Yeah, I mean,
can Kirk and Pike exist?
We haven't gotten
together
that yet, but in episode 3 we see Kirk, and I think he was. I can't believe I'm saying this. I think he's.
Well, we'll talk. All right, yeah. Well, okay. We'll talk about that. But I'm just saying, do you think that this show should continue to bring in TOS characters? If it's going to go 7 seasons, like Joe Cronin says he thinks, then do you think we should bring in the sooner? Should we get Scotty? Should we get Bone?
Yes.
Should we?
Yeah,
because Mbenga is going to be there for a bit.
Yeah, no, why not? Why not? I mean, if Strange New Worlds is our new Star Trek, then we got to event like it can only go like what's the canonically what has it got, like 8 years?
It's got 7 or 8 years. Yeah.
7 or 8 years, right?
But they could roll that into a new series. So then they could redo, and we've talked about this before. They could actually do TOS again.
Yeah, right.
They could do it, but they would have to not touch on any of the things specifically that they did during the original series, and it would have to be in between those episodes.
You know, and
like almost a new show. It would be very interesting.
That would be very interesting. I gotta say, they're sort of lucky that series only went 3 seasons. They got plenty of. I mean, look, they got more episodes though. They got 2 5-year missions, right?
Yeah, no. The thing is like 70 episodes is a lot different. So I can't remember off the. I mean, it was 50 episodes. But Strange New Worlds is only going to get 70 episodes because we only saw the first 5-year
mission. We didn't see the second 5-year mission.
What do you mean?
There was 2 5-year missions for NTOS, and we only saw the half of the first.
We didn't even get the first 5-year mission.
We didn't even get the full first 5-year mission.
Well, you know, Pike's on a 5-year mission now.
Right. So
he says at the beginning.
So essentially, yeah, by season 7, it should be Kirk's Enterprise.
Yeah. And then we just roll into, we'll see whether we continue to like Paul Wesley and what he brings to Strange New Worlds. All right. So you ready to get into season 2?
Yeah, let's get into season 2. All right. You want to start at episode 1?
Yeah. So Strange New Worlds episode 1 is titled The Broken Circle.
The Broken Circle.
The Broken Circle. It is a Spock-centered episode.
Right.
So you guys can expect to, they do take off, appropriately so, take off from where we left off during season 1. It does feel like, you know, the story, not a lot of things seem to have happened in between. La'an is still off, returning the young girl to her parents. They got stuck with the Gorn, remember?
Right.
And we have basically, I think we can say, yeah, the ship is in dry dock, getting refits and repairs and upgrades and things like that, right?
Right.
And we get a Spock-centered episode. Now you got to remember he's coming off of his. He really tore into the Gorn, and if you recall, when he was fighting the Gorn, he had to get angry in order to fight the Gorn.
Right.
So you can sense that there's going to be a continuation of the repercussions of his actions in fighting the Gorn reverberating into the first episode of the season.
Right.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yes, that's fair to say. First impressions of this episode. Out of the 3 episodes, it was. Well, no, I was about to say it was my least liked, but I think the second episode is actually my least liked.
Actually, I think the first episode was my least liked.
Really?
Yeah. Personally, me.
Yeah. I mean,
third episode's definitely the best one of the 3.
The third episode is 100% the best one. I'm torn between the first 2 episodes. I wish that the first episode was the second episode and the second episode was the first episode.
Well, for you, but see, I like the second episode. We're not going to talk about it yet, but I like it because it felt more like traditional Star Trek to me.
Sure.
And but the first episode, you know, it was kind of a getting to know everybody again. So we got kind of a small introduction to all the characters, right? Kind of a small update on what's going on with them. Yes, Una is still locked up, right? They took her away at the end of season 1. She's still in custody. And we will be dealing with the ramifications of that during episode 1. It becomes something specific that Pike needs to focus on as well during that first episode. Mm. One thing we can say is you're not going to get a lot of Pike in episode 1.
Right.
And that was a bit of a disappointment for us.
Because he's actually on Gordon Ramsay's new cooking show that entire episode. And he's really trying to get his apron on MasterChef 20, Century 25 or whatever it is.
I hear his
season 4,337. Yeah, right now. Yeah, it's funny because you see Gordon Ramsay and he's just a head in a jar. It's crazy. But he can still scream at people. So he's like, I'm sorry.
No, now you're giving away spoilers, man.
I apologize. Gordon Ramsay was great though. He was great.
So yeah, definitely one of the things. So some of the pros and cons here, I think we can talk about. It looks visually stunning. The pros, one of the pros. 100%. I mean, it is a gorgeous, gorgeously visual representation of Star Trek. I like the intro. I've been watching Voyager lately. I don't know what it is, guys. I love to go back to the Voyager well all the time. I love Voyager so much. And Voyager was a much different intro screen, like the song, the music. It's a little slower. It's a little different. Well, Strange New Worlds it really taps into, the classic legacy Star Trek captain kind of reading. Like when Kirk read off kind of the intro of Star Trek TOS, Pike also reads off the intro of Strange New Worlds.
Right.
And he gives that, that little bit of a lecture, or the little bit of drops the lines. But then the music really feels like it matches the show.
Right.
It kind of starts out slow, and then it builds up really strong, and then you get that cool and so I think it's a good intro.
My bad.
Well, you go back to like Picard. I really didn't like the Picard intro. I really didn't like the Discovery intro. I don't know what it was. They were going for like that Westworld intro, I think, that we used to. Westworld kind of had that weird.
Yes, the Discovery intro was so frustrating because it was the opposite of any Star Trek intro. Let me tell you something. If you showed me 50 Star Trek possible intros for Discovery, that would be my number 50, hands down. It would be the last one. I haven't
seen the other 45, but okay.
It would be the last. I mean, honestly, the last thing I expect. It's the opposite of what I expected you to do for a Star Trek show.
And where do you put Picard's intro?
Freaking Picard seasons 1 and 2 did the same 49? Thing, pretty much. Yeah, 48 and 49. Like, what were they thinking? Like, one thing Strange New Worlds has going for it is the intro is Star Trek. The music is certainly Star Trek. The uniforms are Star Trek. Like, it's a Star Trek show. Is it the best of the Star Trek shows? Certainly not. But it's a Star Trek show. Picard seasons 1 and 2 and Discovery never felt like Star Trek. There was glimmers of hope in those series for me. That I was like, oh, maybe they can get there. But they never did. Strange New Worlds comes out the gate in season 1 as Star Trek. And it comes out the gate in season 2 as Star Trek. Every episode is Star Trek. It might not be the best Star Trek, per my opinion, but it's certainly Star Trek. That's one thing Strange New Worlds has always done. So far, season 1 and everything I've seen so far in season 2, it's Star Trek. It might not be my favorite Star Trek, but it's Star Trek. Discovery has entire episodes that don't feel anything like Star Trek. Picard has entire seasons that aren't Star Trek. I mean, bro, seasons 2, they were in modern day Los Angeles in a show called Star Trek.
Yeah, the whole season.
They were in L.A. Like L.A. last month. It made no sense.
Well, yeah. So I think you're right. So it feels like a contemporary Star Trek. It feels like a present day version of Star Trek, but it does feel like Star Trek. And, it helps with the uniforms and everything. Something else that looks good, season 2, episode 1. We're going to see Klingons in this episode.
They look great.
And they look right. They look good.
They look great.
Yes, they look like Klingons should look.
Really, this is not a spoiler, right?
Well, I just said that we have Klingons, so.
I mean, look, guys, the Klingons look fantastic. Like,
it's in the trailer. It's in the trailer.
Okay, cool. So here's the deal. It's obvious that whatever they did in Discovery was either a mistake and they're just, they got their tail in between their legs, or canonically, those Klingons were an offshoot of the actual Klingons and not Klingons proper. That's the only thing I can think of canonically, that the Klingons we got in Discovery weren't real Klingons. They were like a religious zealot, religious zealot version of Klingons that shaved their heads and did weird stuff and had albinos or whatever.
And were able to turn turn themselves into humans.
It's so stupid. Right. God damn, Discovery says
Klingons turning.
Look, bottom line is clearly they are admitting that those were at best an offshoot of Klingons. At worst, they're admitting they made a mistake. Because the Klingons in Strange New World season 2, fantastic.
And in all fairness to them, they never really defended the Klingons hard. and they were a Brian Fuller creation. The Klingons were his. And it's what he wanted to do. And when Brian Fuller was there no more, and the Klingons got a really bad reception, pretty much by everybody, they did the right thing, and they said, "Let's go back to the way our classic Klingons look." So I think that's wise.
Thank God.
The super chat. The next thing I want to say, we're going to talk about Spock a little bit. So let's go to Joe Cronin super chat here because it ties in. Joe Cronin for $20. Thank you so much, Joe, for the support. They will use Spock's anger and emotions as a reason he begins to go full Vulcan and become the emotionless Spock we know. So by the end of Strange New Worlds, he will be Spock. This allows them to, fuck with Spock, but
I'm sorry,
return him to
form. I wasn't paying attention. I apologize. Your chat needs to be up on the screen, man. I'm sorry.
Oh, do you know how to do that? Or you know how to do it.
Yeah, I can actually see it better than you. You want me to read it?
Well, I'm reading it from here. I see it. Fine.
Oh, you see it? Oh, you're on that screen.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So basically they're going to, well, I read it. You weren't listening to me. But everybody else was. So this is going to allow them to mess with Spock, but bring him to form. So basically what he's saying is he's really emotional right now. And by the end of Strange New Worlds, he'd be the Spock. I mean, ideally they have to do it that way because that's canon. Now I will say that we did talk about how there's going to be repercussions going into season 2 with Spock. That is the focus of the first episode. And much like the way Spock is played in the first season, we still have a lingering of that. And they have taken, the pilot episode of Star Trek where Spock was kind of more emotional, or he smiled, or he was smiling at flowers or whatever. And they've kind of run with that sucker. And they put themselves in a little bit of a box because they started this. And I don't know how much of it is a Strange New Worlds problem and how much of it is a Discovery problem. Because Discovery introduced a Spock that was emotional, that had a learning disorder, which was just weird and dumb.
So stupid.
Really, really dumb, guys.
Oh my God.
Whoever wrote that shit really wrote terrible stuff.
Bro, it's like, hey, you know what? How can we really ruin this character? It almost felt malicious, dude. Like, let's give him a learning disability. Let's get, dude, they made every poor decision.
They thought they were, they thought they were making the character more interesting. They thought they were making the character more current. Everybody's got a freaking problem today. They were trying to modernize Spock. I don't know why the hell they did that. It was dumb. But they also
one of the greatest cinematic characters of all time, though.
Right, but they put him in a box. So they gave him this backstory with Discovery that we're kind of stuck with this version of Spock because they continued it into season 2 and he progressed, right? He progressed in season 2, but he still had his issues, right? Remember Beard Spock and all that stuff. And now here he's more like the Spock in Strange New Worlds, as we saw in season 1, but he still was very succumbed to a lot of emotional things. Now we got to remember that Spock is half human.
Yeah, I think Joe is spot on though. Like I know you're going to talk about the human thing. Joe is spot on, I think, because even with the garbage Discovery we got in Strange New World season 1, we did see progression to our version of Spock.
No.
We did. We saw.
I don't feel like from episode 1 to episode 10 he grew and became more Vulcan. Well, I don't feel that way.
He felt more Vulcan to me than he felt in Discovery.
Right, but from episode 1, you're right. He made a progression from the final episode of season 2 to episode 1 of Strange New Worlds, but all of Strange New Worlds season 1 was the same Spock.
I don't know. He denied advances from that one from Hot Girl Smoke Show Chapel.
If anything, I would say he became more emotional loosey goosey as the season went on.
I don't think I agree with you on that. I'll have to rewatch it again, but from my opinion, it looked like it definitely felt more Spock, and I don't think he didn't really lose control like he did in Discovery. Did he?
He did. Yeah, no, he did. Yeah,
only with the Gorn, go back and watch it again. Like he had to go crazy with the Gorn.
There are moments where he loses it a little bit, yeah. Okay. And so we go into season 2. Well, he's right. So Joe's right, because once we get to TOS, if he's not lock it down Spock almost 99% of the time, then it's going to be a problem. Because that's the way his character is supposed to go.
The only time he's allowed to be emotional is every 5 years during Ponfar.
Right. I will accept, or yes, there are times when you get a little bit of glimmers here and there, and it's okay.
I really want to get a Ponfar episode where it's just him and T'Pring and Chapel.
No, stop. We already got no. Listen, you can do your own XXX Star Trek stuff on your own time. Yeah. Okay, keep mine cleaner.
Ponfar.
Strange new bedrooms.
Oh yeah. At the end of it, Chapel's like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't.
T'Pring says, "You will bring that toy to the bed."
I did not sign up for this. You see T'Pring.
No. Just Chapel would be the freak. Chapel would be the freak. She'd be the one freaking out the Vulcans.
I don't know. I think Vulcans on Ponfar is too much for any human. My opinion.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I want to see that.
All right. So thanks for the distraction. Okay. So going into season 2 with Spock, here's my thing on it.
Every 7 years. My bad. Go ahead.
I'm willing to accept, the fact that there was some element of Spock's emotion and him growing into the character becomes, but they need to start making some progression. That's all. That's what I want to say. So if we get through the entire season 2 and he's basically the same character as he was in season 1, and we don't see him locking it up a little more and more as we go, the thing that's interesting about Spock, and I think this is something the writers haven't really considered, is the fact that because Spock is half human, right, and half Vulcan, his whole issue is that he's not Vulcan enough. That is what the Spock character is about. And we haven't gotten that version of him. The reason why he's trying so hard to, you remember, Vulcans are way more emotional than humans, right? I was just watching an episode of Voyager where Tuvok, Voyager did a great job adding to canon for, every Tuvok episode just gives you more Vulcan information, which really helps with the development of those characters.
Right.
And you got to remember that Vulcans were extraordinarily emotional, and it's only a matter of control. They still have emotions. It's just controlled deeply.
Right.
So the problem is that Spock, he's always feeling like he's not Vulcan enough. So therefore he tries harder to control his emotions more because he doesn't want to be remembered for his human situation. They are not following that storyline.
Yeah. So on Wednesday, that you're going to have a different opinion.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
And
I hope that's.
And I gotta hold that for Wednesday because there's an entire episode that addresses that.
So what you're telling me is that as we get from the first 3 episodes further into 6, then we are going to see that growth in Spock's
I don't know about that. I know there's an entire episode that literally addresses exactly what you're talking about specifically.
Well,
on
that's
the
all
head.
I've asked for.
And I'm gonna say literally.
Okay, well, that's all I've asked for. Is for them to address this very important thing that is essentially the essence of Spock's character. He is half human, half Vulcan, and that's a fucking problem for him.
And they address that literally.
Okay.
That's all I can say.
All right. That's fair. All right. So that's the Spock portion. The story is overall.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
By the way, check out Joe's channel, man. He's got a great Star Trek channel.
Yes, he does. Thank you. The story is overall entertaining. I think episode 1 is a bit of an adventure. There's things that are going to happen. I think it's entertaining. I get lost watching it. I don't feel like I'm completely being taken out of it. There's some badass fighting in it. That's fun.
There is some really, there's some really crazy fighting. That what's funny is that on first watch I was like, come on. I did that. Because here's the deal. I have to watch every episode twice because the first time I watch it.
The first time you watch it, your pants are down around your ankles. So you have to watch it twice.
I was not going to say that. I was not going to say that. So let me go back.
Chapel in this episode?
Let me go back.
Oh, where's T'Pring?
I have to watch every episode 3 times. Once my pants are on the ankle, and then when I have like the post-nut clarity, then I can really review it, right?
Right.
And then I review it, though, from the perspective of the community. I think every sentence, every line, every scene, I consider the way our community is going to react to that or overreact. Because, let's face it, our community is very passionate, and we tend to our emotions are amplified in everything we watch. Whether we love it or we hate it, there's very little. If there is in between, we're probably not watching it, right? So, I watch it from that perspective, but then I watch it a second time, and I only consider my thoughts and opinions, and I try to turn off the hyper analytical reviewer portion of me, and I try to watch it as a fan. Right. The first time I watched it, I didn't like that part that you're talking about. I didn't like the fights and all that. The second time I watched it, I did. And it's weird. I legitimately did enjoy that. But when I watched it the first time, because I was watching it as like the hyper analytical sort of, I'm going to say, reviewer,
critic.
A critic, I was like, eh. And then I watched it and I was like, oh, that's actually really fun. And it actually sort of makes sense the way they set it up. And it's possible I missed a couple things the first time around because I was too busy trying to find flaws instead of enjoy it,
Yeah.
And I did enjoy that the second time around for sure.
Awesome. Some of the other things, of course, we talked about everyone's attractive. So that's a pro. We're still on the pros, by the way.
Literally everyone. Like,
so everyone's attractive.
Even the animals are like, damn.
The animals. Okay, just stop.
I'm joking.
Even the Klingons are a little more attractive.
There's no animals. Although one of the Klingons is pretty hot, actually. Like that. I'm not even joking right now.
Is there anything that doesn't turn you on? I just don't.
Of course.
Okay,
bro.
just making sure.
Lizzo doesn't turn me on.
You just said animals. I don't know.
Yeah, the tardigrade in Discovery is more attractive than Lizzo. No offense to Lizzo.
That's fair.
Okay, here's the deal.
I think it's offensive to Lizzo, 100%, but okay.
I don't find Lizzo attractive at all, and I find her even less attractive because everyone's telling me she's attractive. I'm like, yo, she's not. Stop telling me that
beauty is in the eye of the beholder, Brian.
Yeah, well, then stop telling me that I'm wrong for thinking she's unattractive.
You need to stop hanging out with those people.
I literally think she's less attractive because you're pointing it out and telling me she's attractive. I'm like, no, she's not. Anyways, we're talking about Lizzo. What the hell?
You brought it up. I don't know.
I guess this is a teaser, not a spoiler, but like one of the Klingons is a female.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's sort of hot. And I never, I don't
take that for what it means, knowing what Brian says about it.
I didn't think the Duras sisters were hot at all. I thought they were, I thought they were weird, but I got to tell you this, ready?
Yeah.
There was a really hot Klingon in TNG. The Klingon that Q creates that's trying to seduce Worf was super fine.
Okay.
I was like, how is Worf not falling into temptation here? My God, she's crawling.
You didn't think Alexander's mom was a good-looking Klingon?
Dude, I didn't even think B'Elanna Torres was a good-looking Klingon. She was a half-breed.
I did. I thought she was.
Nah, I think her attitude really turned me off.
Her ridges were not as pronounced.
They weren't as. You're right. But so that Klingon and TNG, the one that Q makes, is fine, and the one you guys will see her in Strange New World. There's a Klingon that's pretty hot, and maybe it's because I know what actress it is, and I'm like, she's hot.
Yeah, so you can tell she's probably Latina. Anyways,
she is Latina.
There you go.
Another
good thing about episode 1, and we are on. This is one of the things we were making sure that doesn't happen in Star Trek because Discovery really crushed us with it is the fact that the episodes are agenda driven. During season 1 of Strange New Worlds, they had the episode where they basically, are talking about the January 6th Capitol riots.
Right.
And that was just not cool. We don't want to live in today. We're in the future.
Yeah.
And if you have an agenda, it's going to take us right out of the story and it's going to piss us off. Don't do that.
And I want to add to that real quick. Because someone the other day was like, why do you care if they talk about modern events in, Star Trek has always done that. I'm like, hold up. There's a difference between talking about modern events from a historic point of view and then talking about modern events from an agenda-driven point of view where you're trying to solidify the opinion you're trying to solidify your opinion in pop culture and history. Right. Not everyone agrees with you that January 6th was the worst day in our history. Some of us actually lived through 9/11, bro. There's people that are alive that lived through World War II. So no, I'm not. When I see January 6th, I'm not like, oh my God, how come we? No, I'm not freaking out over it the way you are. So when you solidify that in my pop culture as something that is noteworthy, not 9/11. No. January 6th was noteworthy. You solidify that. You are trying to write history by forming a concrete opinion in pop culture that will be there forever. That is wrong.
And it's not a historical perspective. You know, the one thing people say, well, Star Trek TOS did that stuff all the time. If you go back to Star Trek TOS, they really took a historical look. They even went back further. It wasn't something that happened, you know, the previous year or 2 years before. Okay. It was something that they took a look at that happened, you know, a decade or 2 decades before, something that had already been, you know, pushed through society. January 6th was still a hot topic button, and just kind of, I think, an inappropriate timing of a thing to put a spotlight on in a new Star Trek show. So if they're doing that, it's not good. Now, if you go into TOS and you're like, well, during World War II, this happened, or you go back and say, well, you know, racism, well, we've been dealing with racism for decades when, you know, or for more than that, for hundreds of years. So when they dealt with that, it was something that had been with us throughout time, and everyone knew that it was wrong, you know, but when you take a hot topic button like that, I just think it's wrong. So let's just tell you, in this first episode, there was really nothing that felt agenda driven in this first episode. There may be a couple of uses of language and a couple of things that you were like, what are they trying to go over something there?
There's a couple things that feel like it could be agenda driven, but it doesn't quite get to that.
But
agenda
it is not agenda driven. It doesn't. I mean, the language is.
You can translate it as agenda driven if you're really trying hard. If you squint,
you can. Yeah,
it's like if you squint, it's meant like, oh yeah, it's agenda driven. But then open your eyes a little bit, you're like, probably not.
You know, people, depending on their perspective, may see things the way they want to see it. Let's just put it that way. I
saw it that way initially, but then you explained the way you explained it was like, how else do they say that? And you're right. The second you gave me that perspective, I was like, oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, there are trigger words in our society today and that'll hot button things that make people go, well, that means that, but it also could mean something else.
Yeah, in some ways, there's no other way to say it. And
correct.
Hey, real quick, John Burns, Brian and his Lursa and Beator poster. That's the Duras sisters.
Yes.
Just so you guys know who that is. That's the Duras sisters.
That is the Duras. And listen, the one on the left's a little better than the one on the right. So
yeah, I think I agree with you, actually. She's not bad looking.
You're like, well, maybe it's all right.
On second glance.
Are you envisioning her green right now? That's what
I am actually green. Okay. And she has nice eyes, actually. She's not. Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you. The one on the right, I ain't doing it for me. But the one on the left, yeah, okay.
See what a half smile and a grimace does, the difference in the facial.
For me, it's like it's half of when it comes to women, half of it is looks. The other half is the demeanor, the attitude. Like that really is like bro, Charlize Theron on the outside is like I can admit one of the most attractive women I've ever seen personally, subjectively. But her attitude, demeanor, and personality is so horrible that she starts talking and I completely forget that she's hot.
Personality is part of hotness. Even, you know, if they don't say anything, obviously one thing, but once, you know, the whole totality of a person is their personality and their looks. It combines.
Dude, I think Mindy Kaling's sort of hot because she's funny.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not.
I mean, I get what you're saying. No. I mean, comedic people. I mean, listen,
because she's funny. Because she's sort of funny. It's like it sort of does it for me.
Yeah, we're not cashing in on our looks here, guys. So we have to be a little entertaining, you know. Yeah. So I get it.
That's true. That's true. Maybe I'm just. Hey man, funny people are really hot.
Hey, we missed a super chat from the Dork Knight.
I'm not. I did that one first. We were talking about the Klingons. From the Danny, the Dork Knight, my brother from another mother. Danny, I want to tell you something, man. I really wanted to see you this weekend, but I was really sick when I got there. My wife got sick. I was exhausted because I worked the entire week. I did the show. I took my kids to a buffet, and then I went to sleep, dude. But next time, I'll be in Vegas on the 10th, and I'll see you then of July. Look at Spock from the Cage versus Spock in TOS Season 1. I think Joe is spot on. Yeah, Shane has made that exact remark.
We agree, Danny, and Joe was right on that. If they don't do it that way, then there's going to be a lot of upset Spock fans.
Yeah. To be fair, though, I've also heard that the pilot wasn't canon.
Say again. Yes, it is 100% canon.
It is 100% canon because I've been told by multiple people. I've argued this on Reddit that the cage was not canon.
They used it in an episode of TOS. It absolutely was canon.
Okay.
In a flashback scene.
Because wasn't Spock like red?
No, I'm not talking about the first black and white version. I'm talking about the one they reshot.
I see.
He was supposed to be red, but the reason why he wasn't red was because it didn't look right. He came out as a
it's the 60s. Like imagine coming out as red with pointy ears and upturned eyebrows. There's going to be Christian groups protesting your show.
That was one of the problems the network had when they did the original pilot. Was he looked too much like the devil? That was a problem. So, yeah, that's why it got changed.
John Burns,
and that's also why we didn't get Una. They were required to pick. They could either have the woman on the bridge, or they could have the alien. So that's how we.
Oh, that's fascinating. See, and that right there is a product of the times. When people say, people try to they tried to minimize how different it was back in the 50s and 60s, but there were some things that were better then, but there were also things that were worse, and for certain people. And the fact that Una couldn't get hired because it was either Una or the
it was Majel Barrett who ended up being the voice of the computer, and she ended up Nurse Chapel. She ended up in things
sort of messed up.
But yeah, it wasn't. It's the way the 60s were. It wasn't cool, but things are better today. Or at least some people would have you believe they're not, but they are.
No, they are. They're 100% better. Are you kidding me?
Problem is that the people born in the last 20 or 30 years didn't experience that, so they don't understand.
They don't know. Yeah. I have a Mexican wife and 2 half-breed children, and I myself am a mutt. It's a completely different world.
You called your children half-breed right now. That's interesting.
Well, it's weird. I don't know what to call them because I have 15 different races inside me.
They're just people. It's all good. You're Heinz 57 as well, so trust me.
Right, yeah. That's the term I was looking for, Heinz 57. Yeah. That means that you have a lot of stuff. Yeah, I actually have Inuit Alaskan in me. Like I can't say the word Eskimo anymore, but that's what I have in me.
Yeah, Spock is a half-breed.
Right.
He's half something.
Right,
half something.
Yeah, you're right. That's the right term. My wife is just a full-on Mexican. Brit, she is. She said she always tries to go I'm actually Spanish and Aztec Indian. I'm like, no, you're Mexican, babe. Stop it.
Well, that's what Mexican is.
It's
half and half.
She's trying to make it sound cool.
That's messed up. Well, yeah.
She's gonna watch this later on, and I'm not gonna get laid for 2 weeks.
She's not gonna watch this, but go ahead.
She's been randomly watching because she
really?
Worked, yeah, because I'll tell you why. Huh? She worked at a school, right? She does
she doesn't want to do her work, so she's like
no, she does special. She takes care of special needs kids and special ed classes, and school got out. So starting last week, she started watching my show, and I'm like, oh damn.
My wife's retired, and she still doesn't watch my show, but that's okay.
I think my wife is trying to be more involved or something. I don't know.
Oh, that's nice.
Maybe it's because I work 18 hours a day, and she thinks this is the only time she can talk to me.
She sees you. It's like he's talking to me.
Yeah. John, I'm sorry, Dave.
Well, if we start seeing super chats from Christine, just let me know.
John Burns for 279. Thank you, John Burns. I love you, man. He says Brit spies went to U.S. Senator wives were pawned far. I think I know what you're trying to say here, but it wasn't British spies. It was Chinese spies.
Yes.
So
here's what's funny.
Chinese spies got a couple of U.S. senators because of pawned far, and that whole thing last year. Remember that?
Yeah, or he could be talking about World War II, maybe.
That's possible too.
Yeah, it's always fun trying to figure out what John's talking about.
John Burns,
thank you for the support, John.
You're like an enigma wrapped in a black hole. I love it. I love it, bro. One day we gotta have a John Burns hour where we just read your super chats.
Sometimes we do, which is very entertaining.
That's true. Yeah. Another one from John Burns.
Yeah, no, keep them going, man. We're on the John Show right now. I love it.
Welcome to the John Burns Show, everyone. We are John, your friendly hosts.
You're almost you've almost knocked off Joe Cronin there.
Oh yeah, he's really close to knocking Joe off.
Remember, whoever has it the longest gets the prize at the end.
It's true. If January 6th was so noteworthy, why was it repeated in Brazil? Was it really?
They just want to be like America, confused, troubled, societally dangerous.
I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to downplay something that was obviously it was stupid to rush the Capitol, and people do stupid stuff. But what bothers me is, yes, it should be condemned as something dumb. Like, don't do stupid stuff. Don't rush the Capitol. Don't don't break things.
It's all stupid. Yeah,
it's all stupid. But calling it like the worst thing to ever, it's so goddamn frustrating to me, dude.
Right. Well, breaking things in the streets, rioting is bad, rushing the Capitol's bad.
Literally a year before, there was like if a couple hundred people rushed the Capitol, there were thousands of people burning cities down for like 6 months, and you're calling that one event in the Capitol the worst thing ever? Like, were you in a coma that entire year before? Like,
well, it depends on what side you're on too. So some people would say, they were complaining about the riots. It's all dumb. Let's just agree that
I'm on the side of people, and the riots destroyed businesses and burned down, personal properties and did millions and millions of dollars worth of damages to regular people, and the Capitol building got broken into. So which one's worse? Because I'm on the side of people. I don't really care about the Capitol building,
Well, AOC got locked in her office.
So shut up. She's hot, though.
I mean, it was bad for her. Traumatic.
She
thought she was going to die that day.
She's a super hot. Hey, AOC.
What is wrong with you? Just stop.
AOC, I feel you, girl. I feel your pain. I'm so sorry you had to go through that.
If your wife watches this, then she's going to hear all you talk about is hot girls.
If you ever want to call me, okay?
It's ridiculous.
Listen, I understand. You're right. It was the worst thing ever. I apologize.
Just shut up. Read the next John Bird super chat.
I mean, she is hot. She's not too bright, but she's hot.
I don't agree at all. At all.
What are you talking about?
She's not attractive.
She's really
attractive. Not attractive. Not at all.
What are you talking about?
She looks like a skinny little. No, she's not.
Bro, she's a big booty Latina.
No, she's not.
Okay. All right. She looks a little like a horse.
This is for us to discuss in the member section.
Yeah, we'll talk
about going with Star Trek, please.
From John Burns again. 279 upset Spock fan showing no emotion, Shane.
Upset Spock fan showing no emotion, Shane. I'm going to assume what you're saying here, John, is that am I the upset Spock fan showing no emotion? Are you the upset Spock fan? Or are Spock fans in general upset that he's showing
no he's talking about you, because so like between the two of us, I am clearly the unhinged one, and you are very like founded in like reality. And so I'm
not emotional. Is that what he's saying? I'm not emotional?
Yeah, I mean you aren't as emotional as I am. That's for sure. I'll own that. I'm cool with that.
I am logical in the way I think. I think that's part of it.
AOC for Deanna Troy recast. I'm cool with that.
Just stop.
We're gonna talk about the member section. We're gonna do a poll in the member section. I think she's hot.
You can do a poll here if you want, but just let's stay on the Star Trek topic.
All right, yeah, that's true. Michael Nemo. Hey guys, this will be pretty random, but would you say that a 60s Star Trek, 60s Wild West crossover?
I mean, listen, 60s Western, 60s Star. I mean, you all know that Star Trek was pitched as Wagon Train to the Stars.
Right, yeah.
So that was what got them sold. At the time that TOS was going on, Westerns were the rage. And that's why CBS was down. And if you look at a lot of episodes of Star Trek TOS, there is a Western element to it. I mean, we even have an episode where there's a shootout at the OK Corral. So it definitely was.
Yeah, Spectre of the Gun.
Spectre of the Gun. That is the name of the episode. Well done.
Yeah. So I was trying to make sure. So they actually did a crossover at some point.
I mean, technically, yes. Specifically, yes. They did a historical. It was a historical. They took a piece of history. They took it from the minds of Kirk and everybody, or McCoy, and they went back to that time. And yeah, it's one of my favorite TOS episodes. Would they do a Strange New Worlds crossover with Western? Probably not. Westerns are not as popular, even though I still love them. Not as popular today, but yes, that was the truth back then.
A good Western is timeless for me. Like I know they're not as popular, but like a really good Western for me is always something that I can watch. Like bottom line,
It's my number one favorite movie.
Yeah, that's right. You love
Tombstone is my number one favorite movie of all time. I
recently watched the newest version of the Magnificent. I can't say the word Magnificent. Seven.
Mm-hmm.
And I freaking loved it, man. Like I loved it. I know maybe it's a far cry from the original or whatever people want to say.
It is.
But I loved Chris Pratt's character.
That's cool if you loved it. Yeah.
I loved the self-sacrifice, and Denzel Washington was awesome. Dude,
yeah, no, I mean there's lots to love.
And there was this awesome quote that I'm never gonna forget. When Denzel asked the main character, or one of the main characters, the woman that wants revenge, she goes, "So you want revenge, huh?" And she goes, "I want justice, but I'll settle for revenge."
Yeah, that's a good line.
And I was like, "Yeah." I love the movie. That was great.
Oh, we got a clarification from John. So the super chat. Thank you again, John, for super chatting this. 279. I'm talking about the fans not being emotional. See, he wasn't attacking me, Brian. You immediately assumed that John was saying that it was me that was emotionless.
I did immediately assume he was attacking you.
Thank you, John, for that.
But to be honest, I normally think people are attacking you. From Danny the Dark Knight.
People are usually attacking me.
I'm going to say your name differently. It's Danny the Dark Knight. I'm the Dark Knight. Thank you, Danny. Here's the real question. Spock Dans want to know, do we get more shirtless Spock this season? Are you saying Stan or Dan? Is it Dan?
You know, this stands like Dan's, you know. He probably meant to say fans, and it just came out with a D.
Oh.
It is next to each other.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Yes. I think we do actually.
Brian really wants more shirtless Spock for sure. So
I know we joke a lot about like hot chicks and like hot tardigrades or whatever and Klingons, but legitimately, I think T'Pring is probably the most attractive thing on television right now.
Yeah,
like you didn't like bottom line.
Listen, you got to stop it. Like
and so,
every week, it's like T'Pring.
Let me finish. Whenever there's a shirtless Spock, it usually is accompanied by a attractively clad.
You're going to say a shirtless T'Pring.
I was. My bad.
In my mind, a shirtless T'Pring.
It's usually accompanied by T'Pring. So
okay.
Yes, as much shirtless Spock as possible.
I will give you a little bit of a spoiler here. A little bit of a spoiler. You do get shirtless James Kirk. A little bit.
You do? That's true. Yep. So we're on what episode now? 2? We're on 2, right?
We're not quite there yet.
Okay. We got distracted. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, not quite there. Yeah, we're on episode 1. And the last thing I wanted to say about the pros, because we haven't gone through the cons. This is going to be okay. So the last thing that I think is a pro is that they do have a nice TOS continue, like something that I don't want to give away a spoiler. Something that was important in TOS that gets its introduction in Strange New Worlds that we will see carried throughout the other characters' careers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you remember? You may not remember what I'm talking about.
How can you refresh my memory without spoiling it?
I can't. So I will have to maybe talk about it later. But there is an element, there is a thing that is given to someone in the first episode that is critically important to TOS. And I actually love that they did that. So
I think I remember what you're talking about.
Great.
Okay.
Awesome.
I think I remember what you're talking about. And it's funny because people think I'm not a TOS fan. I am a TOS fan. I just don't like it as much as I like other things.
I have made it seem like you're not a TOS fan.
You have,
and
that's my fault. That's pretty messed up. Yeah. First off, Spock is my all-time favorite character. So when it comes to maybe I like watching Voyager more than TOS, maybe.
Okay.
But when it comes to Star Trek characters, it literally goes Spock, Kirk, and then other people. My favorite characters of all time, period, the end, are Kirk and Spock. And probably my third is probably Scotty. Straight up.
All right.
Because Scotty taught me as a young kid that amazing line of reasoning when he said, "No, laddie, you never tell him how long it's actually going to take. You do it in half the time. You look like the hero," or whatever.
But you got that from TNG.
I got him TNG. Yeah, but it stuck with me. Also, when he
also
does,
from Crimson Tide,
when he does the hello computer, I think I was like 9 when I saw that, and I was
but
laughing.
it came out when you were 4.
I know, but I think I saw it when I was like 9, and I remember laughing so hard for so long that it hurt. And I know in hindsight it's not that funny, but as a child, that was the funniest thing I had ever seen. Because I understood the context. He doesn't use computers. He doesn't know what a mouse is. And I'm over at 9 years old using a mouse, and I just start. I'm dying laughing the entire time.
You thought it was hilarious.
Yeah,
you
so
don't talk into the mouse.
I would say Scotty. I would say it goes Spock, Kirk, Scotty, and then I would say after that, probably Janeway, then maybe Picard, and let's see. And then obviously Crusher and Deanna Troi are in there for obvious reasons.
I guess we need to do a top 10 character list.
I think we gotta do that.
Okay, we'll do it in the future. You know what? We'll do it in the member section. We'll give a list in the member section of your top 10 and my top 10.
Okay.
Today.
Yeah. Okay. Why not?
Okay. So yes. Oh, Michael Nemo, $5. Thank you, Michael. Guys, I meant Wild Wild West, the TV show. James West and Artemis Gordon, U.S. secret agents, Robert Conrad. Yes, Wild Wild West, the TV show, was a great TV show. It was very popular.
Who you gonna call? Not the GBs. No, who you
gonna
call?
Not
GWG. If you ever riff with one of us, break out before you get bum rushed at the Wild Wild West.
Not
We're going
the Will
straight
Smith
to the
one.
Wild Wild West. Now, once upon a time in the West, man, lots of damn mine in the West. Love less, kidnap a dime, nothing less. Now I must put his behind to the test. Now,
this is your fault, Michael.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop.
This is your fault, Michael.
I actually know that song by heart, which is.
It sounds like you do.
Yeah.
That would be the 1990s version of Wild Wild West, the movie that
with
that
the giant spider.
Yeah, the one that Will Smith decided he wasn't going to do the Matrix, but he's going to do Wild Wild West.
Yeah. Will Smith goes, listen, guys, I think the Matrix is way too far fetched, and I want to do something a little more grounded. So I'm gonna be a black cowboy that fights a metallic spider in 1825.
Well, and here's another one for you: is his co-star skipped Galaxy Quest in order to do Wild Wild West.
That's right.
And he could have been Jason.
You're talking about what's his name? God, I'm forgetting his name right now. Yeah,
it's called Wanda. I drew the blank too. Go watch the history that we put out.
Whatever it is, both these guys skipped two sure things, two cult classics, to act in a movie that is widely considered a horrible film.
One of the biggest financial flops, for sure.
Yeah. You know what's funny? Because I was watching The Death of Superman Lives by John Schnapp. Rest in peace. And I can't find this actor's name. That sucks. Every time I type in Artemis Gordon is just pulling up the other guy.
No, it's a fish called Wanda. It's I don't know why I'm drawing.
Kevin Kline. Thank you, John Burns. Kevin Kline.
It's because he stopped acting for so long. I forgot about him.
So I was watching The Death of Superman Lives, directed by the late great John Schnapp, and he talks about one of the producers that was on that movie, the Nicolas Cage Superman movie that never happened, right? Superman Lives or whatever. And the producer wanted Superman to fight polar bears and giant robot spiders.
Okay.
But the movie died. A couple years later, that same producer is the guy in charge of Wild Wild West.
Yeah. Well, hey, he got his spiders in there somehow. So
that's so great, dude.
Yeah. John Burns 279. Pratt Magnificent Seven was a remake from Seven Samurai. Absolutely. Seven Samurai came out first, John. You were 100% right. And then the Magnificent Seven, of course, was basically a remake from the Seven Samurai. So 100% true.
Wait, so the newest M7 is a remake of a remake
of a take on the Seven Samurai.
Oh, I mean, listen, I know, I'm sure the originals are better, but I have not seen the originals. I'm also like a quality queen. Like I gotta have great graphics and good audio and as close to 4K as I can get. And so some of these older movies, I just have a hard time getting into them, even if they're like the greatest movies ever. Like I know Godfather is an amazing movie, but like today it's hard to watch. It's the quality is bad. It's super dark. It's just hard to watch.
Yeah. I guess, I mean, it depends. I love all that stuff. It doesn't quality doesn't matter. Story is always good enough for me, but I get what you're saying. Let's go through some of the cons for episode 1 so we can finally get to the next episode. The cons for me, there's not enough Captain Pike in the first episode. I really feel like there needs to be more. It's hard to explain, and I don't think it's a spoiler, but it's not edited well for the passage of time. So Brian and I talked about this separately, and I think you would agree that when you go from point A to point B, they have a little bit of a problem in episode 1 actually getting you there without making you feel like something is missing.
Right.
So that's something that you'll notice it when you're watching it. I did not notice that problem in the next couple episodes, but next couple episodes didn't have a lot of travel time. So,
well, I didn't actually hold up. The worst of that problem was in episode 2.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Like the worst. True. It was
episodes 1 and 2.
Right, episode 1 and 2. It was almost disorientating. Like I didn't know where I was. I didn't know where I was in the story. It was like, I don't know why they chose this, but it was not good. Like simple.
It was a mistake.
Establishing shots would have cleared this up.
Right. It was an actual mistake, a shooting mistake. So I think if they go back and look at it, they go, we missed one there, and sometimes that happens when you're making a show, and sometimes it's better than others.
Probably, right?
It's an editing mistake. They may not have gotten the establishing shot to do that when they were doing shots, and they didn't do pickups. So for whatever reason, they just didn't get it. They didn't have it. I feel like in editing, they would have fixed that problem if they could have, but sometimes you shoot stuff and you just don't have it, Yeah. You can only put together what you can. I would also say there's still a sense of that we talked about, maybe that lack of professionalism, in this
100%
in this episode, and that's a little bit of a problem. This first episode still, right?
Oh, you're right. My bad.
First episode still, and so it does feel kind of more like a group of friends hanging out. It feels almost more like a group think tank in some ways, and that's something that I would rather not have. And this is a spoiler. I'm not going to say it, but we're going to find out about somebody who's been on Earth for a bit, I think. So that'll be kind of something that we got to, I don't want to go too much into that, but I felt like
that's hard to
element.
Talk about.
Yeah. I felt like that was something that, and maybe we'll talk about that more on Thursday.
It was 100% forced.
Yeah. It felt forced.
It felt forced. It was like they needed that element for a future episode or something.
Right. Yeah. It didn't feel like it didn't feel right.
Yeah. And in my opinion, and we'll talk about more on Thursday, but like, remember this, they could have used an established race and there would have been no issue. Yeah. Honestly.
But overall, if you look at it, I have more pros than cons. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Got 9 pros and 5 cons. So that's good. I think overall that's a good sign.
Yeah. Okay.
Going into
with it.
Are you with it? Okay. Everything sounded about right.
Pretty much. I think you're a little more forgiving than me. But I think I'm with you.
Okay, cool. Episode 2 is called Ad Astra per Aspera. It's an Una-centered episode. And what can we say about that episode? Basically, it's Una's been locked up,
right?
And now it's time to figure out what her status is. I think that's the best way to put that.
And just so you guys know, Pike is still on the cooking show, so he has not joined the cast yet. He's still with Gordon Ramsay trying to get his apron.
We get more Pike in episode 2. We get more Pike in episode 2. And it's not centered on Pike, but I would say in episode 2, we get enough Pike to at least be satisfied.
I mean, yeah.
That was one of my pros, actually.
We get enough Pike, but I don't like the way Pike is. I don't like the way he's presented. I don't know how to say this without.
Okay. Well, you just don't like the fact that he's cooking, because in every other
No.
aspect of the
I obviously don't like that. I'm talking about like, I can't say anything. Look, I mean, like,
yeah. We can't talk about that.
It's hard to be critical without spoiling. So
you and I have differences of opinion on that. I think that maybe that's just the way those people are. So I don't know. We'll see. More on that to come. I think they do a really good job getting the feel of a classic Star Trek genre episode. It's a courtroom genre episode, and we've had some excellent courtroom drama Star Trek episodes in TOS, in TNG, in Voyager, for sure, where something happens where it's court related, and I feel like the argument, the way it's produced, the way it's put out, is actually fantastically done. I love everything about it. Me personally, and I can't really say a lot about it other than it feels like it should. It feels Star Trek, you know?
Yeah, I'm completely the other side of this. I disliked the majority of it. So I didn't. Yeah. I liked the outcome, but I didn't like the journey to get there. It wasn't good. It was problematic, to borrow a phrase, and I hope that's the last episode we get like that.
Yeah, so it's going to be fun when we review that one. When we actually review that episode next week, because Brian and I are going to like super disagree on that one, and I really feel like I'm right on this one. So
you're not.
We'll have to. I didn't say you were wrong. I just said I feel like I'm right.
Yeah, well, I feel like you're wrong. So
another good pro on this one is there's really no sign of agenda. I didn't see any agenda signs, any of the woke stuff that we kind of look for in these shows.
I disagree. So episode 2 is underlying woke.
Let me just tell you something. Okay, there's something. This is not a spoiler. Okay, we can just say a woman being angry is not woke.
No, you're right. I didn't say it's because they're angry.
I got to hear your argument again, because I don't think there's anything else there. But let's see what happens. Maybe.
Yeah. I so want to tell you so bad right now.
You can't right now. You got to wait. I will say this, that I do feel like this episode represents the character of what Star Trek is all about, especially the actions of a certain person. I feel like it completely represents what Star Trek is about, and I really love that about this episode.
What? How is that the case?
Yeah, there's something I just love about it. There's absolutely, let me tell you this, when you get my version, because we haven't talked about it, when you get my breakdown, you're going to go like, I get it.
You can't handle the truth. I don't know. I think we're going to disagree on this one. You know, I'll tell you this. Yeah. It's pretty rare when Shay and I disagree, and I'll tell you why. We're both extremely pragmatic. Even if I'm often ruled by emotions, I will always give my emotions away to logic, 100% every single time.
Always.
I go to the Church of Spock, man. That's the way I roll. So if you can present an argument to me that is logical, pragmatic, not based in emotion or opinion, but based in some version of truth that adds weight to your argument, then I will accept that. At the very least, I'll give it credit. So Shay and I so rarely disagree because often, even when we do disagree, we can turn each other around with logic. But I don't think you're going to do it this time.
All right. Well, we'll see.
Or maybe I'll turn you around. We'll see.
Maybe it's possible. Anything's possible. What else? I think there's a really great moment between Pike and Una that I loved.
I agree with that. That was good.
Great moment. Some of the cons of this episode is Pike's cooking. Can't believe Pike's still cooking.
Pike's constantly.
It's a problem.
So I'm only half joking about him trying to get his apron from Gordon Ramsay because it seems like he's practicing for MasterChef constantly. It's like never-ending practicing.
Never-ending. Yeah. Another con that I felt, that there was a contradiction in this episode that felt like it was a writing tool as opposed to following, the logic of what you've already created. Mm-hmm. And I thought there was a big mistake there. I mean, nothing that ruins the episode, but it's definitely obvious, and it's like, well, why did you make that decision? I would love an answer for. Not everybody's in character appropriately the way they should be. There's a couple of times where people do things that are, like I said, there's like 2 or 3 moments where they're just not acting the way they should, or the way they did the previous episode, and now they're suddenly different this episode, which is kind of not great.
Right. Right. That's what
Right.
I'm telling you right now. Like the episodes feel like they were shot. Like they don't. It doesn't feel. It feels
Yeah.
like the first episode might have been pigeonholed into the story, or vice versa, because it doesn't. It doesn't. They don't add up. They don't mesh right. It's almost like a bunch of time went by between the two episodes that we aren't aware of. It's very disoriented.
Yeah, it's possible. Not everything is shot in order. So it's possible that mistakes are made. I mean, the people who direct the episodes, sometimes they're new directors, sometimes they've done it before. So, people make mistakes, and it does seem like some things are left out occasionally. Not enough to ruin the episode completely, but you just notice that it wasn't perhaps done correctly.
Yeah, we'll be able to talk about more on Thursday. You'll see what we're talking about on Thursday, and I am so interested in what your opinion of it on Thursday is, because the first and actually it's gonna be next.
Well, we can't
Thursday.
talk about this on Thursday. Yeah, it's following.
It's gonna be the following Thursday when you get the full picture, and I can't wait to see what your opinions are, because you can't really judge. You can judge each episode separately, but really these first 2 episodes, you're gonna have to watch them. You're gonna watch them together, and you're gonna see. That's all I can explain.
Well, I think the second episode will reflect more on the first, I think is what you're saying. Like, I don't think you need both episodes together.
You don't.
But I think you'll watch episode 2 and it'll reflect on episode 1.
Right. Yeah. Right. And coincidentally, in my opinion, the only episodes that actually sort of feel like they attach to each other, other episodes don't do that.
True. Strange New Worlds, episode 3. You have anything else about episode 2?
I can't talk about anything. So
okay.
I just think that it was I can't say anything. So.
But okay, so that's good. So Strange New Worlds episode 3 is titled Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. It's a La'an-centered episode. The best way to describe this episode would be like yesterday's Enterprise combined with City on the Edge of Forever. So the TNG episode and the TOS episode, you kind of combine those together, and I think you get what this episode is kind of about.
Great episode.
It is. It's the best episode of the ones I've seen so far this season, and I do believe it's the best episode of Strange New Worlds of seasons 1 and seasons 2.
Yeah, 100%. It's the best episode I've seen up until now. If you combine both season 1 and the first 2 episodes of season 2, it's an amazing episode. It's really great, and can't really tell you why without spoilers, but it's really good.
Yeah, this is the episode that Kirk is introduced,
and he's great. He's really great.
So we can say that that Paul Wesley, he's a pretty good Kirk.
He's a good Kirk. It's wild. I know that statement sounds ridiculous.
It's okay. Let me be fair. He's the 3rd best Kirk still.
Well, I mean, you're right. But he is leaps and bounds better than he was in last season as the alternate version of Kirk or whatever it was.
Yeah, I would say he's better. Yeah. Well, we didn't get a good Kirk.
We did
in that last. We didn't, because it was a pressure situation. We only saw him in the chair mode, really. Right. This we get to see, a more well-rounded James T. Kirk. But I still think he's the best. He's the 3rd best still. You mean William Shatner, of course, and then Chris Pine. I still think is a better Kirk.
Chris Pine's a better Kirk because Chris Pine just emulated William Shatner.
No, I don't think so.
Dude, there are bloopers where he is literally like practicing William Shatner lines, and people are telling him too much shat. Dial down the shat.
Right, and he got it dialed down just to the right amount. But I really hate it when people say a character is different depending on who acts in them.
No,
character is a freaking character all the same all the time.
100% right. And if one character pioneered a character, then that's the character you got to play.
Yeah. So William Shatner's Kirk, his confidence, his charisma, his confidence. Did I say confidence twice? His, the way his approach
His
to
swagger.
the world, his swagger. Yeah. Everybody's got to have swagger. If you're Kirk, you got to have swagger, period.
But
okay.
The one thing I say about Pine is sometimes he emulated his vocal, his
a little bit. Yeah. There was a little bit of
that. And that's what I can really criticize. Everything else was good.
He's still better than Wesley. Sorry.
He's better than Wesley. Yeah.
He is.
But as from what I've seen I've seen a lot more Pine than I've seen of Wesley. From what I've seen of Wesley, if he continues to go there, it's gonna be neck and neck. If he continues down this path, it'll be neck and neck easily.
He's gonna have to get more swagger for me to feel that way. But we'll see. I mean, I think he did a fine job. It was a believable Kirk.
Yeah, totally.
I thought he was charismatic. He was he had some humor to him. The seriousness was right. I do think it was good. I think he did a good job. I'm okay with him as Kirk. I didn't watch him and go, I can't watch this. I can't do this. It's like when we watched Obi-Wan Kenobi, when we watched the very first, the prequel to Star Wars, when it was I'm totally drawing a blank.
The prequels?
Here. No, not the movies. The standalone movie with Chewie and
the Christmas special?
No, not the Christmas special. The Star Wars movie that came out with
Force Awakens.
I can't believe I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah.
Standalone movie, not Force Awakens.
Oh, Rogue One. My bad.
No, it wasn't Rogue One either. It's the one with the guy I cannot believe. Han Solo. My God, Jesus Christ. So when they did Solo, right? The kid who plays, what the hell? You don't know who Han Solo is? What the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah, that's why I didn't even say Solo, because I thought there's no way he's talking about Solo.
I know. I was just drawing a blank. The problem is that like the kid who played Han Solo, I hated him every second of it. I just hated it. I hated that young version. I just didn't like it. He could not be Han Solo. Yeah. The cool thing about Paul Wesley is that I can accept him as Kirk.
100%.
I just do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was good.
Last season, I totally understood the criticisms, and I was right there with you. This season, it's different. He's a different guy. And when they said, look, the Kirk that you saw in this alternate history, future or whatever, is a different Kirk. I thought it was an excuse, but then I watched this episode and I'm like, oh, I get it. I can sort of get it.
Okay. That makes sense. We see some really cool stuff with him. And of course, we all know the episodes with La'an. It's her centered episode. So they are together. There was lots of footage shot, lots of this talked about. This is not a spoiler. We know that they're running around doing stuff. They what else can I say here? There's difficult choices to make.
Yep.
For both people, which means that it's nice for the episode to have consequences and to have real world consequences for the characters. Episode 3 is very prescient to what's been going on the past couple of weeks in the news. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But I thought there was a part in this episode that was like, damn, that's like very similar to what we've been talking about lately.
But it's not politically driven.
Not political. It's pop culture.
Yeah, there's no agenda or anything.
Yeah.
No, I really like this episode. I like Kirk, and I gotta say, I like Leon way more. Like Leon was great. Am I saying the name wrong again? God damn
it's not Leon. Yeah, it's Lon.
Whatever. Lon, Con.
On.
So Lady Khan was great. She was great, and she
was fantastic.
Believable,
she was super fantastic.
Good acting. It felt good. It felt really good. I really liked this episode.
She killed it.
In fact, when I try to once again introduce my wife to this series, I'm not starting with 1 or 2. I'm starting with 3.
You're such a gaslighter.
Is that gaslighting?
You're trying to trick her into thinking.
Yeah, I am. I'm trying to get her to like the characters, so she'll buy the general premise of Star Trek.
Then you make her watch other stuff. She's.
I know. Right?
One of the things that we can say, they stole our theory for Picard season 2.
Oh yeah, they did.
They did. Somebody was watching when we did our theories on Picard season 2, And and we said it should be this, and it never was that. But in this episode, it is that.
Yeah,
it is the exact same thing.
It's funny because I didn't put that together until right now. You're right. It is exactly. If you go back and watch our Picard season 2 video,
our theory video,
that's pretty much the premise of that episode.
It is, and which is like when I saw that, I went, "Hold on a second. They made this
right
after we made that."
Oh yeah,
like
a year and a half after.
But you know what? Here's what's cool. You want to know what's cool? We felt like that's the way it should be, and so it's a positive thing.
I mean, we got it in Strange New Worlds. It didn't happen in Picard,
right?
I mean, that video does have like 800,000 views, so there's a good chance one of the writers might have seen it. I'm just saying.
Yeah. The only con I have for this episode, Brian, is no Captain Pike, and I will say in the first 3 episodes, this is going to sound weird. The first 3 episodes, very little Captain Pike.
Right.
So
let's just say there's more Captain Pike's food than Captain Pike.
Yeah, but he didn't cook in episode 3. In fact, he wasn't in episode 3 at all.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So that is all I have for the first 3 episodes. Do you have anything else?
I like the science in the 3rd episode too. The science really worked. I'm
trying to remember what the science was. There was science?
The radiation thing. I'll stop right
there. Oh, I see.
That was real science.
That's true. That was good. You're right.
That was legitimate science. That's a hard science, and it actually adds up and it works, and in every level it works. It's like a lot of the times they'll invent something new or some new some new way of doing something to sort of drive the characters along, but the fact that they science their way with modern day technology was really clever. I really liked it a lot. I liked it a lot, man. You know what's funny is I was like, wait, I have an idea for this. And then they did it on screen. I'm like, oh yeah, that'll work. Yeah. And it does, like that, because since the 50s, that's been a thing. It's really cool.
Good. So that's our take on the first 3 episodes. Overall, we'll take Brandon's. Thank you for the super chat here, Brandon, for $2. Just popped in, but sounds positive. Thank you so much for that. And what we'll tell you is, so I would say in the first 3 episodes, at least, overall, it's positive. I think if you want to sit back and have a good time with some Star Trek storylines, then I think you'll have a good time watching it. If you're expecting some sort of reflection of TOS or TNG or something in the vein of legacy Star Trek, I don't think the characters are at the level of that Star Trek. So if you're kind of hardcore, like if Picard season 3 was good for you, and you're expecting kind of that level of kind of serious Star Trek, I don't want to say serious Star Trek, but you know what I'm talking about, right? And it does feel light as far as that goes. What do you think?
Yeah, I like 2 out of 3 of the episodes so far. It's definitely Star Trek. Like I said before, it's definitely Star Trek, and there's gonna be episodes of Star Trek that are bad. Look, I love Picard season 3. is probably the best thing I've seen in a decade plus. But it's not like every episode was perfect. There were episodes that was like, you can take it or leave it. But the overall, it's like we're not even gonna be able to tell you what's that.
I loved every episode, so I don't know for Picard season 3, I loved every episode. So
there's an episode that drags for me. I don't remember exactly which one, but it really drags, and I don't think much happens. But it doesn't matter. Bottom line is, it's gonna be all about the overall and how they wrap things up and how the characters progress, because we're gonna get a season 3 and a season 4. That's happening.
Season 3 for sure is happening.
So we need to see the characters progress in the right direction for us. And so if that happens, and the majority of the episodes are better than worse, then I call it a win. And here's the deal: in a time where a lot of franchises aren't even trying to please fans, like they really aren't. They're just doing whatever they want. It's really refreshing to see Strange New Worlds. At the very least, they're like they're trying to please everyone. You can tell they're trying to please everyone.
That's the right answer. They're trying to please everyone.
So it seems milquetoast sometimes, but at least they're joining to please everyone, not just one type of people.
Yeah, you know the big difference is I don't think anybody's on the show going, you know what, we just really need to ignore legacy fans.
Yeah, that's not.
You know, there was a feeling in Discovery that that's what the attempt was. Like the attempt was just to take a big doo-doo on legacy fans, and it doesn't feel like Strange New Worlds is doing it. It feels like Strange New Worlds is trying to serve legacy fans to some degree. There are elements in the episodes that are like, you know, that's cool. It's not member berries per se, but you know, things that add to canon. I think a few
100%.
little member berries, but also things that add to canon.
Yeah.
So I think overall, to me, the first 3 episodes of season 2 are better than the first 3 episodes of season 1.
And when you guys see Wednesday, when we talk about the next 3, you're going to see a Shane that is going to double down on what you just said, I think. Because like there's an episode in the next 3 episodes that is really, really well done. And there's also an episode that, in my opinion, is bad. So, but we're going to talk about Wednesday.
Well, if they can capitalize on what they pulled off in episode 3, like if they can find that level of maturity, even episode 2, in my opinion, I know you and I disagree on this, but I think the level of emotional power that they get to, I feel like Star Trek needs to move you emotionally, you know, and I do feel like the second and third episodes do that proper emotional moving. I think it's got weight to those episodes. Like I don't want Star Trek that doesn't have consequences or that just makes Star Trek for the sake of making Star Trek. Like episode 1 feels a little bit like that to me, but episodes 2 and 3 feel like there are major things in the way. It feels like strong Star Trek to me. So going into if they can maintain this, like, you know, level of development in the show, if it only gets better from here. And I got to tell you, we haven't seen all the way through, but episode 9 is all they talk about, like everybody on the show. So they are very excited about that episode. And I'm curious to get there myself.
Wish you want to tell me that. Hey, John,
we've been talking about it the last couple of weeks.
John Burns for $2.79. Why are the dogs howling in that song? Are you referring to Wild Wild West?
Yes.
Desperado, Rough Rider. No, you don't want none of this. 6 Gunner brother this. Okay, I'll stop.
I got to do that all the time, guys. It's not just you know.
Thank you, John. From Danny the Dark Knight. I acknowledge Brian as the tribal chief of the podcast. Nice. Are you talking about Roman Reigns?
Roman Reigns? That's a wrestling reference for those.
Roman Reigns. Still need my hat though. Okay.
That's all Brian, Danny.
I got you, man. Thank you, Danny. Another one from John Burns. With us being in the writer's strike, why can't Joe Malazzi contact Sci-Fi and get season 4 and 5 of Dark Matter made? Right.
I
think he's got to join the strike. He can't be a scab, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, he won't go against it. But you know what's funny? Well, John's saying because he's already written it. That's the reason why. So it's already created. The problem is even if you've already written a script, unless like all the rewrites are done, then you still can't make it. So, but that would be cool. And you know we are going to try to get Joe on a Raw Rant one week to talk about Stargate, to talk about Dark Matter. He will be somebody we're going to try to bring on, and I'm sure he'll do it.
Yeah, he loves us. Another one from Danny the Dark Knight. Danny the Dark Knight. If I gift memberships, does that count toward the contest or just super chats? Yes, it actually counts time and a half toward the contest. But you didn't know that.
I didn't know that myself.
So time and a half. Membership gifting is time and a half toward the overall contest.
Wow. There you go, Danny. And that's for your friend, so it's all good.
Yes, and
asking for a friend.
Boulevard Jones.
Oh, look at that. He snuck in and grabbed it. Nice.
Boulevard. I just want to be champion for a second. Good for you, man. Good for you, Boulevard Jones. John Burns is like, what the?
Do we know who's had it the longest so far?
Yes, actually.
Okay.
Danny the Dark Knight was neck and neck with. Let me scroll back up.
So the way you win at Boulevard is you just keep super chatting until we can't stop talking about it.
Yeah, it was neck and neck with Michael Nemo.
Nemo?
Yeah. I'll have to actually. It's neck and neck to the point where I have to actually count out the notches, so I can't tell you right away.
Thank you, Danny Dark Knight gifted 5 Popcast Unleashed memberships. Thank you, Danny. That is very, very awesome of you to do
Joe
that.
Cronin's neck is right there too. There's 3 people that were neck and neck. Ooh.
All right. Well, hopefully you got an answer here for the end.
It's gonna be interesting.
So I don't know why Matt Vader 74 is not always a member of the channel, but he got a membership today, so that's good.
What? You just got
look in the chat. You can look in the chat. Danny just gifted 5 memberships.
Oh, Matt! No, see, Matt Vader is a member of the Prime channel.
Oh, I see. And this gives memberships to the other one. Never mind.
And this gives memberships to the Unleashed channel, or like
Gotcha.
Boulevard Jones like to say, the kiddie table.
The kiddie table.
It's not the kiddie table, man. It's just smaller because it started after.
It's going to grow and be bigger than the other channel.
It's going to end up being a juggernaut, you know? All right. So we are going to member section pretty soon, right?
Yeah. So just a reminder, Wednesday we'll be back. We don't have a time yet, but hopefully it'll be around the same time that we did the show today. And we'll be back with Robert Meyer Burnett to talk about episodes 4, 5, and 6.
Oh, yeah. Someone did ask if Rob saw him too, and I believe he did, or he wouldn't be here on Wednesday.
Yeah, I believe he also did. I don't know how he saw him, but we were talking. I was talking to him, and we were talking about the episodes. So he's excited to come on and talk about it with you guys and with us. So Wednesday we'll do that. Thursday we get the live show where we'll be reviewing the first episode.
Ups and downs, babies. We're gonna frame by frame that sucker.
Frame by frame, up and down. Plus, we're also going to be coming out with our classic version, which came out on the podcast Prime for Legacy, but I think we're going to air it on this channel, right? Which is the video breakdown.
Yes, the video breakdown. Okay, so this is actually very important. If you're a fan of ours and you like the video breakdowns, this is really important. They're not going to be on Prime. We're going to dedicate Prime to long form like content, and the video breakdowns are going to come out on Unleashed. It's the same format, but because they're like 10, 12 minutes or whatever, we're going to put them on Unleashed. Same exact thing, but on Unleashed. So if you want to see that, make sure to look at Unleashed, because we all know notifications don't work. So
that's true. So we'll have that on Thursday, and then Friday I'll be back with my show. And I got a super chat here from Brandon. Thank you, Brandon, for the $2. He said, "Great solo last week, Shane." Which he's talking about my Palantir show.
Oh my gosh, the Palantir was great last week, bro.
Did you guys like it? Did you like it?
I finally watched it. So I listened to it. I listened to it while I was driving to Vegas to do the Salty Nerd thing. And here's the deal. I totally understand the draw of long form content. Because when you are in a car with whining children and a wife trying to get you to watch TikToks about murder victims, there is almost nothing better than having Shane in your hidden ear, just entertaining you and keeping you from driving that fucking car right off the road and right into a tree. Like you don't understand this, but Shane, I think you saved my family's life.
I'm glad that I could do something.
I was working almost 22 hours a day last week. Like, I was literally sleeping maybe an hour a day.
You were busy.
I was sleeping in my chair on the floor of my office, working my butt off. To be honest, if I had not already committed to the Salty Nerd thing on Saturday, I wouldn't have gone to Vegas. It wasn't really a social thing, but I committed, and I always do what I say I'm gonna do. So I'm sitting in the car, and I'm gonna take my wife and my kids. We're gonna go to a buffet. We're gonna enjoy ourselves for a weekend, and I'll do the Salty Nerd thing. But dude, I had zero patience. Like, I don't even think zero is the right word. I think negative patience. I had negative patience. I had anti-patience. If there's antimatter and matter, I had anti-patience. And it was like, at one point, my wife's like, just look at this poor kid was murdered, and I'm like, oh my fucking God. And my kid's like, can you turn my tablet back on? Like, well, stop touching. Those are my headphones, and I'm like, I can
drive it off the road. I swear to God,
I can just swerve into the truck next to me, and nothing. And then I saw the notification 2 days late, by the way, for the Palantir. And I'm like, or 2 hours late, and I'm like, oh, click. And I had the headphones where like you can put one earbud in.
Yeah.
So my wife can't see the earbud. She just so she could talk.
She thinks you're listening.
And I'm like, And then I hear Shane ranting about John Campea and your small, your calm, soothing voice. And it was 2 hours of escapism for me, dude.
Nice.
So,
well, that's what it's supposed to be. Awesome.
If you guys missed the Palantir last week, I gotta say that was a good show, man. That was a rock solid show.
Thank you.
Normally, I think Shane's very boring, but that was a good show.
True. It was my third one, so it's only going to get better from here. I'm planning this week. It's going to be Indiana Jones.
And now you guys know why I couldn't do the Popcorn Power Hour on Sunday, because I got home and I couldn't even like get to my chair.
Yes. And your show is actually really good too. If you like a lot of energy and excitement.
Really. It's mainly just me complaining about stuff and like misspelling words and stuff. But,
that's fun.
If you're into like mumbling and incoherent rambling by someone who appears to be drunk but is not, come on down.
But likes green chicks. Yeah, it's all good.
Really into green chicks. It's definitely a thing on the show. Hey, Dan of the Dark Knight again. I can't believe Vader was gifted one of my memberships for you guys. F that guy. LOL.
They bring their fight to our show. I like that. They bring it to our show.
Bro, it's so your guys' relationship is so weird, Danny. It's so weird.
It's like a married couple. You know what it is? It's like the Odd Couple.
I was with Vader on Saturday and he was saying nothing but nice things about you. Really? But then when we're on the show, when we're live on the show, he's like dogging you the entire time.
Oh, it's like wrestling.
But in person, he's like, "Oh, I love that guy. That guy's great." I'm like,
"Yeah, yeah." So it's like wrestling. So it's all fake when it's being recorded.
Which one's the heel?
Well, the heel is the person who's
the aggressor.
The bad guy.
So that would be Vader, right?
Oh no, Vader's the heel.
Yeah,
100%. But Danny and him do that, but then off screen they're cool. So that's good.
Hey Danny, how about this? I knew that tribal chief reference because of a TikTok.
Wow.
I saw a TikTok with Roman Reigns and the guy was going off on the TikTok and it reminded me of Joe Cronin. So I stayed on the TikTok for longer than I probably had to. And that's where I learned the tribal chief reference.
Is it wrong that I don't look at TikTok at all?
So here's the deal. I
don't even own the app.
Listen, please. This is the most important thing I'm ever going to tell you.
Yeah.
Don't fucking install it.
Okay.
Don't install it. Don't open it. Just don't.
It just seems terrible.
Listen,
I can't.
Listen, bro. You ever go to like an NA meeting and they're like, listen, don't even try drugs. Like
if you went to the meeting,
I know you think you can smoke a joint and not end up, on meth, but it's gonna happen. So no matter how much willpower you think you have, TikTok isn't even like the gateway drug anymore. It's the fucking finish line. Just stop.
Wow.
Don't even open the app. It's crack. It's meth.
Saying this makes me want to open the app. This is like having a reverse effect on me.
And you will find yourself constantly scrolling, and all of a sudden, like 33 minutes has gone by, and you've been on the toilet long enough for your legs to fall asleep, and you don't know what's happening. You think you're having a stroke, and you're on your like 430th vapid nonsense TikTok that means nothing, and you're not following anyone, and nothing matters. But your right foot is completely numb, and you're considering, if I can stretch my leg up and give myself a stranger, can I have to make that happen? I'm kidding about that, but no, I'm serious. Don't know.
Member section started early today, and now you know what's happening in the member section. If you guys want a lot of this, last super chat here from John Burns for $2.79. Brian, host a murder party.
Oh yeah, I'm down for that.
Yeah, that's because your wife's always listening to it, and
yeah, no, I'm down for that. You know what we should do?
What?
Oh my God, you know that? Remember that sponsor we had a million years ago that didn't like us because we didn't get the numbers?
Yeah, but I love that game.
Yeah, we should do that. We should do that as a live stream. I've been wanting to do that for a long time, but I don't want to do it alone.
Okay, maybe
that would be rad, bro.
I don't think anybody here would care, but
you guys would care. Trust me. It doesn't seem interesting. No, but when you get into it, it gets really interesting.
We get the blood out, the whole 9 yards.
No, bro, we can put up like slides and stuff and explain the process. We can work the case together with the chat. That'd be badass, bro.
All right. Well, it would have to be a member section thing, I think.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, it would have to be members because it would be weird on this channel.
Yeah.
What's it called? Murder.
Something about murder.
Yeah. It's you solve the crime.
Okay. Before we go to member section, one more thing. If you don't have Peacock, you need to do this. Cancel every other streaming service you have and just buy Peacock. It is the best streaming service by far, and there is a show on it right now called Based on a True Story, and is absolutely hilariously addictive, fun, outstanding, funny, scary. It is a great show, and I don't even like murder stuff, but this show is awesome. That's my personal recommendation. All right, let's go to member section, man.
Oh, and what? First, we got to have a winner.
Oh, that's right. Let me find out who the winner is.
Congratulations to one more here from John Burns 279 TikTok. This is Michael Jordan. Stop. Get help.
Stop. Get help. Remember
Stop.
that?
Get help. Yeah.
Stop.
I do.
Get help.
Well, everybody in my family is addicted to it. So
yeah. Don't download it, Shane. It serves zero purpose.
It seems like a time waster to me, and I don't have time to waste.
We have like 2,000 followers on TikTok, and I don't care.
Oh,
at all.
All right. I didn't know that.
All right, here we go.
Who's the winner?
I'll tell you right now.
Oh. So the way it works, the way we figure out a winner is Brian actually tracks your time separately. So when you take over as the podcast hero at that moment, then the timer starts. So whoever's had it the longest will get it at the end. So this week's a close one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So Cronin beat Michael Nemo. Let's go. Let's put up now Cronin against Dark Knight. I'm counting right now.
Yeah, Brian's having like secret little desktop fights with stick figures, and he's giving them each names.
No, I have little notches, man. Shut up, bro.
That was funny.
Hilarious. It was fun. Rebecca Spade actually came close too, but she got knocked out.
She couldn't have. She barely super.
Well, she was at the very beginning. She was the stream hero.
Oh, she held it for the longest. I got you. That could happen sometimes. Just a little super chat in there. You get in there for a while.
Danny the Dark Knight's winner.
Danny the Dork Knight, you held it the longest. Congratulations,
Danny the Dark
man.
Knight, you're the winner, dude. And,
Congrats.
And you are the winner by, according to this notch, about a minute.
Okay.
So you are the winner by a minute. That's really incredible. Sorry, Joe, man. Really close, dude. It was super close.
All right. So congratulations to Danny the Dork Knight. Let's spin the wheel and see what he's getting.
No, Danny, you did win. You are the winner. You won.
What did he say?
Are you not getting it? You won, dude. Yes.
He just can't know what it is. He can't believe it.
You won by 1 minute. That's really impressive.
He just doesn't believe it. That's it.
See, everyone else that's won Stream Hero since we've had this won by like
a lot.
He won by 1 minute.
This was close. There was good play. Today was good action. Like if this was boxing, like it would have been a good match today.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. All right, let's spin the wheel.
Okay.
You got to find it, huh? Oh, John Burns, so fucking rigged. I love that. I love you gave me that. John, thank you for giving me a Boston accent there for a second. Yes, this thing is so fucking rigged. You guys just can't even believe it.
There you go.
If it's rigged, you got to blame Brian because he's keeping track of the time.
No, it's not. It's not rigged.
No, John Burns says it's so fucking rigged.
Yeah. See, John Byrne, you might have super chatted more, but because they were smaller amounts, you didn't tackle.
Oh no, he's not saying he should win.
Oh, I see.
He's just saying it's so fucking rigged, and I just like the way he did it. It's so fucking rigged.
He's messing with us. I get it.
By the way, John, I hope you have a good dinner.
Stop.
I know you're getting ready to do dinner.
Get help. I love that meme. Here we go. Wheel spinning. You ready, Danny?
What'd you get, Danny? He's already got a hat coming, right?
Here are the options, dude. You got a Star Trek Legacy mug, a Star Trek Legacy shirt, a Star Trek Legacy mouse pad, a Stargate clock, or a Popcast hat. And here's the deal. If you win the Popcast hat, then you will get both Shane's and Brian's hat because I owe you one already.
Dang, nice.
So you'll end up with the full set, my dude.
Well, you were only going to get Brian, so you better hope you land on Popcast hat so you get mine, which you know you like better anyway.
So both of our, you're right. You're still alive here, bro.
He's like, wait a sec, isn't my time being counted?
But you're like 6 minutes behind, and we're ending it right now. So, but nice, very good try. Very good try. Here we go.
So fucking rigged.
I'm so glad that worked because for a minute
there, it makes you so happy you would do that.
Legacy mug. You got the mug, Danny.
You got the mug. Danny's
Star Trek Legacy mug. You want to see what it looks like?
When you're having your coffee, Danny. That's it. Yeah, we should see what it looks like so people see. Available only at mixtees.com. Use coupon code the Popcast for 20% off. I should say it like I do on the videos.
All right. Check it out.
Actually, if you guys go to mixtees.com, you can get anything there 20% off by using coupon code the Popcast. It helps support our channel. Awesome. And there's some really cool stuff that you can't get anywhere else.
Also, there's a secret hidden coupon. If you use the coupon code Brian, you get 22% off.
That's a bunch of bullshit. You better not have set that up.
Yeah. You can also
whoa. If you use the coupon code Shane, I'll get you 23% off.
Okay.
See, we could do this all day.
All right. You give them 23, I'll give them 22, and let's see who they choose.
The problem is they're going to go put those codes in right now, and they're not active. So you're screwing with people.
You know what's funny is we did for a while have a Brian and Shane code, and
Brian got depressed and so
full disclosure, I deactivated it because no one effing used my code. Every time someone ordered, it was with the Shane code. I was like, you know what? This is stupid. I don't want to do this anymore.
It's because people kept typing in Brain instead of Brian, and they got confused.
I don't know what it was.
We'll use the other guy's name. We'll use the other guy's. It's easy. Shane.
I was like, do people just dislike me?
No, that's what it was.
Out of like 50 people, not a single person used my name.
Listen, you are the character on this show. They love you, of course.
Right. So no. They like laughing at me.
We're all laughing.
Not with me. But you know what? I know karate.
And
so come at me, bro. And kung fu.
Dude, can we do this in the members?
Yeah, okay. Check out. That's the mug, you guys. That's a 15 ounce. There's also an 11 ounce. It's fairly affordable, and you can get it for 20% off by using coupon code the Popcast. That said, we are going to the member section, my friend. If you do not know what that means, I will make it easy for you. First off, the member section for Prime is actually going on right now. Okay? You can just go on over there if you're a member or you want to be a member on that channel, go for it. Links in the description. It's going to handshake you. But if you're a member here or you want to become a member here, because it's the same thing. We have two channels. We have two membership sections. They share the same content, so don't stress about that. But if you do want to be a member here, click the join button and join us. That members stream is going to be up about a minute after this stream ends. So if you don't see it right away, just refresh the page, Popcast, youtube.com/Popcast Live. You'll see it pop up. That's it. We love you guys. We hope you can join us in the member section. We are a little more free with our thoughts. And we aren't worried about CBS hunting us down and killing us if we accidentally spoil something. So come on down. The water's warm. Shane's peeing in the pool. Danny won a mug. Thank you for all your support. We love you so much. You guys are the best. Joe Cronin rocks. Go check out his channel. And we'll see you guys in the member section.